In the world of video games, there's a fine line between genius and madness. The following two podcasters seek to cut through the chaos and confusion that the video game industry Wait, hold on a minute. Oh, yeah, I misread that. Hold on. Can I go back? Okay. Two podcasters seek to add to the chaos and confusion of the discordant discourse surrounding video games. You're about to experience the Video Game Logic Podcast.
Today's show was recorded on May the 8th, 2018. I'm your host, Gaming Psychologist, and with me, as always, the one who's leading me astray,
Caffeine Rage.
On today's show, we will, of course, be discussing the games that we played this week. We're going to have a mini impromptu game club about Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition. Skara the Blade Remains writes players' stories into its lore. Pinball Arcade is losing over 50 Bally and Williams tables on June the 30th. World of Warcraft attacker is jailed in the United States for a DDoS attack. You will need to pay for Nintendo Switch's online subscription to back up your save files. Archive.org is hosting over 1,000 Flash games. We'll have our weekly community corner and our weekly Steam Discovery queue. Timestamps will be in the show notes following their respective topics. Hello, Rage. How are you?
Doing all right. Enjoying my new monitor.
Indeed. You have a second monitor now, which you have been extremely happy about.
Yeah.
And have been, like, every chance you get, you're like, oh, I'm going to put this on my second screen. Ooh.
Well, it's been a while since I've actually had a second monitor, so getting used to it again was quite the thing. And also, I've never had one in this configuration because I have the VESA mount for vertical screens. So my old little 24-inch monitor is now above my 27-inch.
Interesting. Yeah, eventually I'm going to either wall mount a second monitor or that TV I've mentioned to you before. I don't remember if I said anything about it on the podcast or not before, but that TV I've got in here mounted on the wall next to my desk. One of the two. But I'm still just cruising along with one monitor. Although,
let's put it this way.
It
made making the show notes a hell of a lot easier without having to flipping back and forth or, keeping both windows on the same screen.
Yeah. No, I need more. I'm up to 4 PCs now. I tweeted about that earlier.
Yeah, I will say that the mount I got, it's really nice, but it was a pain in the ass to put together because it was all pictograms, and a couple of the parts looked very similar to one another.
Yeah, I hate when you get really shitty instructions or poorly labeled parts or both.
It wasn't bad. My main problem with it was, one, it had me put the cap on the bar for the monitors first, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, what the hell is this about? It's just an end cap. It's a decorative end cap. It's the very first step. Don't know why it's the first step, but But also, it didn't list what way the mounts went onto the bar, because that was like step 3 right after mounting the bar. So I actually ended up putting up one of the mounts upside down, so I had to remove part of it to flip around the mount.
Nice.
Because it just didn't, it was a very, very small picture. It's like, okay, I could see this going on here, but not exactly its orientation.
Yeah. I went through my own orientation today. Because I mentioned this to you earlier while we were getting ready to record, but yeah, I cleaned out my desk and pulled out my main rig, my gaming rig, and cleaned out the inside of it, and somehow the cables behind it had just turned into a tangled, awful mess. So I restrung all of my cables. Turns out I was wasting a lot of USB ports. Because I had 3 USB hubs, and I'm like, how am I out of USB ports? But I had just, I had shit plugged in that didn't need to be plugged in, and it was like one USB hub only had one thing plugged into it, and I'm like, well, what's the point of that? I just plug it straight into the port. But Yeah, I went from 3 USB hubs down to 2. So that's improvement. And also my PC is clean for now.
Well, except for the files on it, because, that's some filthy shit.
Oh yeah, it is. You know it. So much mech porn.
Yeah, I mean, you have that GIF that I put on Twitter, and that's the tamest thing.
That's cute. That's very cute. The
Oh boy, oh
the
boy, oh
bouncy
boy.
mech. Yeah. So you were the one who led us astray with BattleTech in the pre-podcast, but I'm the one who was the first to mention it on the official show for this week. How many weeks is it till we get to that game club? 3 weeks. Damn. At this rate, I'll be at like 200 hours. I'm in triple digits already. So.
Do we need to schedule intervention? Do we need
No.
to force you to eject?
No, I don't want to. It's not that I don't it's not that I'm in denial, I just don't want to.
No, you are in denial because the water, accelerates your cooling.
I see what you did there. Well played, sir. Well played. Speaking of playing things, though, let's go ahead and dive right into games that we played this week. And you didn't have to twist my arm. Like, you came out, you were like, did you play anything this week? And I was like, yes, actually. I didn't say this. I just was like, don't worry, I already played stuff this week. But I have 2 games this week.
Hey, can you blame me with you hitting triple digits already in that BattleTech?
Yeah. I do have some extra time added because what I've been doing, like I did this today, I played for technically like 8 hours, but I was working in my office, so I'd go do stuff in BattleTech for a little bit, and then I'd just walk away and go work on something in my office for a little bit, and then come back. And I just went back and forth like that all day up until I unplugged my PC and cleaned it, and then I didn't play anymore for the rest of the day. But cleaning my PC was the last thing I did. Partly because I wanted to play BattleTech, and partly because my workbench was just a mess with shit all over it.
Speaking of shit all over it, how about I talk about the game I'm about, my first game on the list?
Oh, okay. All right. I liked the look of this. Please tell me it's not terrible.
Also, you don't want me to talk about it. Got it. So moving right along.
Oh no. Okay. Tell me about RP Golf.
Or
RP Golf.
Yeah, it's either RP Golf or RPG Golf. This is essentially trying to be Golf Story that is a Switch exclusive, I believe.
Yeah.
And let's put it this way. Okay. I enjoy my golf games, alright? I'm one of those gamers that like sports games, but I don't go out of my way to play them very often. If that makes any sense, actually. This is a simple golf game for, I would say, about 1986. By today's standards, it's fucking rudimentary. And it is a fucking annoying action RPG.
Okay.
The only reason why this wasn't a Sunday sampler for me to shit all over it was that it did not like any recording software I threw at it. That's the only saving grace, so I've saved up all my bile for this. Okay, so RPG Golf, first of all, no character creation. You have a set character. And, well, let's put it this way. This should tell you the quality we're dealing with. When there was one word that stood out in the tutorial section. Alright? One word that was a massive red flag. Tap.
Oh.
Yes. This is a mobile port, and a rather shitty one at that. But... yeah, you have no character creation. You have a set character that... yeah, the entire point of this game is that you're wanting to be a golf champion, but this is a fantasy world where monsters roam all golf courses for reasons. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is going to make me sound very mean to golf games everywhere, but this game has successfully made golf a more tedious sport to play. Because in order to get through the holes, because in order to progress through the game, you have to score par or better on each of the 9 holes in order to face the final boss. Because this is technically an ARPG with golf instead of golf with an ARPG. Alright?
Okay.
You're only allowed to play the hole once. If you get par or below. Or you have to continuously retry over and over and over again and just grind out experience to be able to level up your golfer if you're failing. And it is just so fucking tedious because it's a very, very bog standard. Well, not even bog standard. It's a substandard ARPG where you have monsters charge at you. You swing your club at them like a fat kid recording himself. Remember that meme?
Star Wars kid?
Yeah.
God, that's old.
Hey, but appropriate here.
Okay.
All the monsters are pretty much the same, just recolors of one another, and they pretty much just charge at you, try to tackle you, then warp back a few steps to do it again. But it's also the type of combat where if you could time it right, you could take absolutely no damage. So that makes the levels, for the most part, completely arbitrary.
Okay.
You play the first hole, then in order to progress to the second hole, you have to go through a dungeon, because of course you do, right? And
absolutely.
Then you have to fight a giant spider.
No.
With possibly the worst hitbox I've ever seen in a game. Because this is the charge at you and you duck out of the way and it hits the wall and stuns it type of boss. You know, the bull rush boss. Bull rush genre, essentially, you know?
Yeah.
And the hitbox is so off kilter with the model that there were several times I got hit when I've completely, almost a full half body away from the boss, and it still hit me. Alright?
That's no good.
Yeah, so kill that boss. Then you get an ability to melt ice to be able to progress to the second hole. The second hole has a island that you shoot the ball onto. Then you have to go through another dungeon, so you can kind of see the pattern here. There's absolutely no story in this whatsoever, which is actually the appeal of Golf Story to me, you know? Golf Story reminded me a lot of the old Mario Golf games, when there was a little bit of a story with them as well. This, nothing. I mean, it's just kind of, it's a facade of Golf Story. It's a facade of Mario Golf. Wanting to be more, but it's just low effort and really, really, really shit.
Man, Mario Golf. Out of all of that, that's what I got was Mario Golf. I've played Mario Golf in forever. I'm sure there's been more than one Mario Golf game, many more.
Mm-hmm.
But the one I liked the most was the one that was on Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
Man, I played that a lot.
Well, let's put it this way. This is how substandard the golf game is in this. The short game, on the green.
Yeah.
No slope on the green whatsoever. And it doesn't even go to a putting mode. So you have to try to guess the power meter based on the aim like you're chipping the ball in.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
when I say awesome, I mean awful.
And even the wind doesn't really affect the ball that much. I mean, it's showing like on the screenshots, I'm looking at it on Steam, and 4.6 meter, which is, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what the wind was in my game. So, no variance on the wind at all. But it didn't affect the ball at all. It landed exactly where I expected it to. Which, that takes away a lot of the strategy in golf. Because, it's more setting up your shots for, and trying to take the variables into play. But this, it's none of that. This is not a golf game.
To be fair, when I played golf in real life, I never really accounted for the wind either.
Yeah, but you
But
also...
that's mostly because I wasn't very good.
Yeah, I was
I
about
was
to say...
average at best.
Yeah, I was about to say, you have to have, some airtime to have to account for the wind.
I tended to just slice everything real bad, so I would play for that.
And dress horribly.
Nah, yeah.
But I mean, if you dress sensibly, you stand out at the golf club, right?
I mean, to be fair, I always dress horribly, even now, so it's not all that different for me.
And trust me, I really, really want to like this game, but yeah. I would say this is a hard pass unless it's given to you. Even then, it's... let's put it this way. I didn't even stomach for an hour. And there was several places in the game where I saw that they were just going to waste my time. For example, very quickly I ran into this giant maze that I didn't have the abilities to get past yet. But it was... Well, the game does several large screens. One large map, and you're able to just scroll around it pretty freely. And it was that entire section. I would say it was probably about 6 full screens wide and 3 tall. I mean, just a fucking massive maze. There was no way that it was going to be easily solved because, even looking at the map where it did show you the entire maze, you would just be completely lost in it. Because, all the assets in the game are pretty, similar. I'm just very depressed by this game. Shall we move on?
Yeah. We should find another golf game to play other than, what was the free one that we played? But it became apparent very quickly that the power player outclassed the...
Winning putt?
Yeah, winning putt. But we should find another golf game.
Yeah, that was very annoying whenever you'd get in the zone and, you'd be 2 or 3 strokes ahead of everyone per hole. Just because, you were a power player and you were able to hit a good, 20, 30 yards further than us?
Yeah, consistently. And, yeah. When you got there, you usually were closer than me, but I was already like a shot or 2 ahead of you, so...
Yeah.
Basically, I had to fuck it up at the end, otherwise I won every time. And that's not fun for anybody. Because I don't want to just, run away with it every time. Like, if I get a streak on, 1 hole or something, that's awesome. But consistently, I was winning by several strokes a hole.
Yeah, what I really wanted was to do the mix, the in between the 2 extremes, but they never had it enabled.
Yeah. It's been, a year and a half since we played that. Maybe we could check it out again.
Yeah. Somehow I doubt that they've nerfed the power players because I imagine that's what most people are running.
Winning putts on Steam. And you keep going. I'm going to look at golf games.
So, one more game on my list before we get to the mini game club is Judgment Apocalypse Survival Simulation. Because, everything needs a simulation in the title these days, right? This is Absolutely. A town builder with essentially think RimWorld, only Judgment Day essentially, demons have come up from hell, maybe. I mean, there is a story to this game, but I never got far enough into it. And this one goes on the list of games I wanted to like a lot more because this isn't that deep of a game.
Okay.
It's very, 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 very linear on its builds. Let's put it this way. The tech tree that they show in the Steam store, bullshit. It is nothing like that. Instead, they all lead one directly into another on the various tabs of the tech tree. And they're also interdependent of one another. So on my Sunday Sampler video, I was, on my setup for it, I was trying to get to farming and animal raising for wool. And they did mention fertilizer, but that was never usable. I'm not sure if that was something that was going to be added later or if that was something that was going to be added but then removed because this came out of early access this week. And in order to build the animal pen, I had to have bricks. Well, either I get lucky on salvage, send out a team to another area to find bricks, or unlock another section of the tech tree, and the tech trees are fucking expensive. During the day, you essentially just accrue tech points on one of two research paths, because there's two separate research currencies that you research or you generate, plus salvage that you have to get as well, because that's not going to be irritating at all. And throughout the day, you'll get probably 10 to 15 at best, because people just sit there and research, and they go eat, then they go research some more. And some of the high-end research is 4,000, 2,000. And even the low-end stuff is, a couple hundred. So it is slow. And they also have it where your initial build, you get enough, or you don't even get enough. They give you a free bed, they give you a free building, they give you a free well because you have to get water. But then you need resources that you can't get until you research pretty far down the tech tree to be able to expand upon that. So you very quickly start to lose a colonist because they essentially hot bunk. One person goes to sleep as another one gets up. So your colony's never running at full capacity, which is irritating. I would have loved to have a second bed so two people could rest at a time. Because the resting also, obviously takes a while, because, that's the whole sleep thing that I've heard people do occasionally.
Yeah.
Let's see, something else that really annoyed me about this. Well, for one, okay, I think it's pretty fair to say that some sort of relationship or some sort of mood is pretty standard in smaller scale colony builders like this. I mean, I'm talking about the 5 to usually 15 colonist or people level of simulation, right? That's pretty standard, right?
Yeah.
Not in this game. At all.
Okay.
Someone dies, nobody cares. At all. Which is just a head scratcher to me. I mean, there's the sort of, there's the trait system that you expect that affects stats. There's actually a class-based progression system, which I'll get into in just a moment. There's absolutely no interdependent relationships. There's no moods. There's no, people giving a damn about one another. They're just there. Which, considering the initial opening is 3 friends out camping, but they don't give a fuck if one of them dies? That's just weird.
Maybe in this universe, nobody gives a shit about anybody else.
No wonder.
All it is filled with loss.
And demons.
And demons. Lost demons.
But...
They need Jesus.
Well, obviously, if there's demons around. Jesus Christ, Demon Slayer.
I would play that game. I'm gonna Google that. I don't know what I'm gonna get. Here we go. Jesus Christ Demon Slayer. Jesus Christ Superstar was the first autocomplete. That makes me happy. Jesus Christ Demon Slayer #1. Comics by Comixology.
Uh-oh.
Ooh, what is this?
This is a deviation and a sidetrack.
Recounting harrowing of hell legend, Jesus Christ Demon Slayer. This portrays Jesus descending into the pits of hell to challenge the devil and his minions for the right to control death and damnation. And the cover is someone that looks kind of like 70s Arnold Schwarzenegger with a beard and long hair with a giant sword. What's the... God damn it, I've seen these movies before where he's like the barbarian guy.
Conan?
Yeah, Conan. This looks kind of like if Conan looked more like Jesus. $1.99. Add to cart.
Uh-oh.
It's their own. This Comixology is owned by Amazon. Can I use my Amazon gift card balance for this? That would be amazing. Oh, I can't. Damn it. But I can pay on PayPal. That's fine. All right. Next week, we're going to talk about issue 1 of Jesus Christ Demon Slayer. Proceed to checkout. Amazon sign in. Oh, I can sign in with my Amazon account. Maybe this will let me use my gift card balance.
So should I continue, or are you going to continue?
Yeah. You carry on.
Oh, we get into some weird places, don't we?
Yes, we do. Weird, wonderful places.
But everything is just so sluggish in this game. And not in the good, tactical feeling way. For example, to be able to wall off, to build a palisade around my little colony, which don't know why 3 friends decide, we need to build a fort. Because you would think this would be more tactical combat, trying to survive, but no. Each one requires a certain amount of wood, certain amount of bricks, which the bricks have to be crafted. And I like the idea of all the interdependent crafting and crafting trees. But everything just takes so long to do. And you can't queue up anything if you don't have the resources. So it makes it feel even longer. Like, to give the RimWorld example, let's say I wanted to build a wall and make the demons pay for it.
Right.
I could build out the blueprint of the wall, and as resources are completed and collected, they fill out the blueprint and then they're built. In this, I have to wait for all the resources to be built. Then I could go in and put in the blueprint, and that slight change really, really impacts the flow of gameplay because you're sitting there waiting for things a lot more than you really need to. And on top of everything, space is very, very limited as well. You may notice that all the buildings in the screenshots that show the forts, or colonies, or whatever you want to call them, look pretty similar. That's because you only have the pre-made buildings that you can make. There's no custom buildings whatsoever. And the buildings are 2x2 and 3x2 are the starter ones. You do unlock bigger ones later, but when I say later, I mean fucking far later. And a lot of the workshops cannot be built outside, so you're constantly building more of these microscopic buildings. To be fair, you don't have to worry about walkways because people just walk right through the workstations because, that makes it a lot better, but it's irritating. It feels so fucking limiting.
Right.
And one thing I really like about town builders, one thing I really like about the survival town builders, I should say, is be able to try different things, to try different approaches. Going into RimWorld and trying, okay, let's build a wall pretty much immediately and start building little murder holes to be able to shoot people as they come in. Does that work? No. Let's try in a different way. Let's try building up my food stockpile a little bit better, and we're trying different crops. And thus, you have pretty much the way the developers want you to play, and you have the way the developers want you to play.
Nice.
And did I mention the way the developers want you to play?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, just making sure. I mean, if you really, 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 really like the theme of this, especially getting into the occult, which takes ages, that's pretty much, I think that may be my big problem with this entire game, is that everything feels too slow for what it does. The rituals in the game, you eventually unlock this magic circle, which you could go to do rituals and for buffs and different effects that happen. Which it's kind of hilarious just because how long they take. You're sitting there doing a rain dance. Then the guy decides, I'm kind of hungry, goes to eat lunch, comes back, and continues the rain dance.
Well, the rain gods would understand when you need some lunch.
Yeah, I would say it takes a full day and then some to be able to do some of these rituals, and that's just the starting rituals. And they're pretty minor. There's one that is a rain dance, which makes it so that the fields don't have to be tended as often, essentially watering the fields, I guess. A matter of fact, I'm pretty sure, because it eats up the water, and you pretty much have to dedicate someone to constantly fetch water. I mean, you could get that, take some burn off that by building a second well, but you need bricks for the second well, and you don't unlock bricks for quite a while. So, yeah. This game really needed a rebalance, or looking at some of the alternative ways that you can play it. Or maybe it's just I'm spoiled by RimWorld that gives me a lot of choices, and that's even before I start getting crazy with the mods. And, I haven't mentioned the combat at all, have I? The combat...
Nope.
Remember how I was talking about RPG off?
Yep.
And all the enemies just rushing at you? Pretty much the same here. There is a cover system that you could use, which is similar to how RimWorld does it. Objects in the world naturally have some sort of defensive property, a certain amount of blockage, and sandbags that you build are pretty much the baseline that you could do for like half blocking, or pretty much the standard that you base everything off of. All right. Well,
all right.
In this, all the enemies completely ignore that system and just charge at you. Melee werewolves and imps and that sort of thing just blindly rush at you to try to get in melee range, while the ranged characters get close enough to shoot at you and then stop, no matter where they are. I never saw a character intentionally go into cover. They will unintentionally go into cover, but that's just them running through the woods to get to you. The AI is brain dead. It's incredibly basic. And once again, the system is not very fleshed out, because it's using an HP system instead of pretty much what's become the standard is the RimWorld Dwarf Fortress-like system of subparts and, taking damage to, the torso, the arms, for various effects. At least I'm pretty sure that's become the standard on all the combat-oriented games of this genre I played. And coming from RimWorld, it feels very boring, because I'm just looking at the weapons like, this bow allows me to shoot a little bit further and has slightly better accuracy, so I guess I'll use that instead of the other one. And once again, getting new weapons is very slow, because you have to unlock them, and that is tied into the research system that, like I said, just takes ages. Oh, I really, really went into this game wanting to like it, but there's just so much there that I may have been spoiled on, or I just find too frustrating to really be able to enjoy.
Right.
I do have to say that the gameplay, or I shouldn't say the gameplay, but the graphics are kind of ugly, aren't they?
Yeah, they're not the best looking, to be polite. But, if the game was good, graphics matter much less than if it's no bueno.
Yeah, well, let's put it this way. Pretty much the only way I've encountered getting new colonists, for lack of a better term, survivors, whatever, is occasionally a rescue mission will pop up, and you send a group out, which is limited to 5, by the way, to go unlock them from a cage, and then you rescue them. And the person that you rescue instantly teleports back to your place. There's Jesus Christ.
It took me a minute to actually buy it, because I had to sign up for the account, and then it's like, well, we can't actually use PayPal because you're using a merged account. And it's like, well, fuck you. You made me sign in with my Amazon account. So then I had to be like, which card is the one that's mine? Like my actual card. That way it comes out of like my personal money bank account.
But got a little sidetracked there. Everything just feels off. And considering this just got early access, well, that's what I was on. It was the rescue missions. So the person that got rescued instantly teleports to the base, but the rescue team stays where they were, and they have to walk back, which takes a good part of the day. And it does that often. So if you send a team out to go do missions, or to go do an operation, because there's this story campaign to try to figure out what the fuck. If you send out the group, they just teleport off the map, and then when they come back and start doing the exact same thing that they were doing, like they never left. And it's just immersion breaking. It's a very small thing, but having someone walk to the edge of the map to leave it is not as jarring. And I think that's my big problem with everything in this game, is that it's very jarring, it's very ugly, it's very substandard. So, no sir, I don't like it.
I see.
And the UI is just fucking cluttered. Because you can see the build menu there, where they go for the aesthetic of, everything is like pads and books and things, but and with icons on them, but it's just irritating. Because you're going through things that really shouldn't be together. But why can't they do some sort of tab or something? Or, flip through pages. Because you have the pad right there. But no. Oh, I didn't talk about the level up system. The level up system. Oh, the level up system is something else that highly pisses me off. Okay, the level up system in this game. In pretty much any other stat-based game of this genre, as you do something, you get better at it. I mean, that's pretty much standard for most RPGs, right?
Yes.
Okay, in this game, as you do things, you gain experience. And essentially, barring RimWorld terminology, if you have a passion for something, if you like doing something, you get experience faster while doing it. Once you level up, you are able to slot in a stat point. And those stat points are dependent on the class your character is. And the combination between the class and your traits, it can make for some odd things, like a fighter that has a lot of buffs in their crafting because of just their background, but you're never able to improve them because the fighter has a lot of fighting-oriented talents, and that is the only thing that you could level up, is your fighting. Or unlock various weapons that you're able to eventually use. If you unlock the crafting form or find them or whatever. It's just a weird system. To have no bonuses that you can gain naturally through your stat points. I presume there may be something down the line, or it may be some sort of item that you eventually get. Because even items themselves are highly simplified, where you have a weapon, you have a armor, essentially a jumpsuit, with various jumpsuits for different types of armor, and an equipment slot, and that's it. So maybe something on the equipment slot will eventually allow you to have some sort of stat bonus. I did notice that there was a ritual that you could eventually do that will essentially do a reroll on that character. So maybe that is that's the way that they're planning on doing it. But that's still fucking irritating, because that is way down the occult tree. It just does some weird stuff. And this may just be a case of, I have too much experience in this genre. And Jesus Christ stays and takes half damage.
Did you notice that Jesus Christ has 2 naked ladies with him and their breasts are exposed for his pleasure? Yeah, this is going to be good next week. I'm going to stop looking at this now so I don't spoil the entire comic.
Well, they're not fully exposed. That's pasties, right?
Well, nope. Those are the nips. Those are the nips. There's on the previous page you get like full frontal of them, but like they're like trying to get Jesus naked so they can have sex with him. He's like, "No, I'm Jesus. I will not give in to your temptation."
Good thing you're not Jesus. You would have given him the temptation instantly.
Oh yeah, immediately. I would have taken pleasure from the breasts exposed for my
Pleasure.
Yeah. Okay, I'm closing that now. I'll read Jesus Christ Demon Slayer later. There's 3 issues, so.
Oh, and also one other thing is that movement speed is incredibly slow in this game, which may be another problem that, just makes everything so much worse because of the crafting. And actually, that it does kind of play into the inventory system as well. I keep remembering things that piss me off about this game. Everybody just kind of moseys. There's no jogging or anything.
Right.
And the demons are unspeakably fast in comparison. So there's really no sense of urgency to any of the colonists. They're just kind of, oh no, I'm being chased by a werewolf. Quick. Get to the defensive line. Tomorrow.
Eventually.
And this game has an odd inventory system for this genre where everything kind of just teleports into a shared warehouse. And then everything teleports out. So if someone harvests vegetables, for example, at the farm, they'll instantly teleport to the storage. And then if they go to make a salad, which is the tier 0 food, they instantly get teleported to the kitchen to go on the buffet. And yes, they actually have a buffet table. But the thing is that if you start making tier 1 food, and you don't disable tier 0, they eat both to no benefit. And there's no rotting, so, you could just endlessly make salads.
Well, at least you'll be healthy in the apocalypse.
Yeah, well, unless you need some protein in your diet.
Oh my god, what have I done? I'm not getting recommendations on Amazon. Evil Jesus, Volume 1.
And things have gotten weird.
We'll just save that for later.
But yeah, I'm really, really wanting to like this. Even more so than RPG Alf.
RPG Alf. Alf?
Or RP
Golf. You want to go Alfin?
Well, I think you need to be Alfed. Speaking of which, I guess it's your turn now? Since we're saving my last game for the mini club?
Indeed. So, the first game that I played this week is Halo Online, and I've got in parentheses El Dorito, because this is a modded, ripped out version of Halo Online. So Halo Online, a number of years ago, was developed and released as a free-to-play game.
In Russia, wasn't it?
In Russia. I think they had plans to take it wider, but for some reason it sort of died in development. There was a beta that was available for people to play. And this project has been being worked on for apparently a long time. I discovered it a few weeks ago when they added like a giant, or like the newest version number, which added a server browser so that you could now just, obviously create servers or have people create servers, and then you could join those instead of just having to do meetups for custom games and stuff. Because there's no matchmaking service for this available. And it's Halo's multiplayer. Like, it's mostly Halo 3's multiplayer. But it's got elements from some of the other later Halo games thrown in there as well. But it's sweet, sweet Halo multiplayer on PC, running at 120 FPS with like 110 FOV.
How much mouse acceleration, mouse aim, or aim assist?
None. No aim assist. Mouse acceleration is turned off by default. I mean, you can turn it on and mess with it, but it's off by default. having the FOV punched out to 110 is too far. They're very clearly only ported the Halo 3 console assets over. So once you go past 90 FPS, like you see the end of your arms, like that whole blank space problem.
Oh, you mean the other end? I was about to say, yeah, in first-person shooters, pretty much everywhere, you always see the end of your arms. They're called your hands.
Yeah, you can see like inside, where there's like the stuff isn't rendered for you to see.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can see past that once you go past 90 or 100 FPS, but it's fine.
That kind of makes me wonder something. Okay, I'm gonna ask a dumb question.
Okay.
Why in first-person shooters is everybody constantly keeping their guns in their face?
Yeah, that's a really weird thing. Like guns, different games do it differently, but like as far as I know, no game that's a first-person shooter has the gun in the proper position. It's always like in the middle of your head,
well, Team Fortress
or like in the
2
middle of your
actually
chest.
had a mode for that, where it was built around the VR, it was a VR mode that I was able to turn on. That it used, instead of the first-person model, it used the world model. So looking around, you could actually see the gun in the proper position for the model. And for some characters that worked really well. For others, it was actually a huge hindrance. Particularly, Soldier was very bad. And actually also getting shot with the bow and arrow, the Huntsman. You would look down and you would see arrows in your legs.
Nice.
Which I'm not sure which is more disconcerting, actually.
But anyways, I mean, this is Halo 3's online multiplayer. Basically, like I said, they added in some of the weapons and items from later Halo games, but you don't have the armor powers, which were introduced in Halo Reach. And then there's some of the later weapons.
Wait, why doesn't the other games have them? If Halo Reach was before everything, what, did they run out of batteries?
They were all lost. Jeff was supposed to load the crate onto the ship before it flew away, and he got shot in the back, and so that crate was left.
Did he at least give the Wilhelm scream?
But yeah, he did.
Okay,
but then
good.
Bob discovered it after Halo 3. Like, oh hey, Jeff dropped this when he got shot. We've got him back now. That's canon. That's how that worked. But anyways, it's also got some extra stuff too that I assumed they introduced to be like paid content. But I mean, it's all in there. Like, there's gold-plated weapons and some things that I've never seen in any Halo game before ever, like some custom armor and emblem designs and stuff. And I mean, because this is a player,
codpiece?
Is there a what?
A spiky codpiece, so you could really teabag someone?
No, there's not, but there should be. But because this is a player-created mod that's free, all that stuff is just available for your customizing pleasure. And then the weapons have just been added as like random drops on the ground. They're more powerful versions. Like if you see a gold weapon, it is more powerful than the regular version.
So it's GoldenEye, the man with the golden gun.
Yeah. The golden assault rifle is at least 15% more powerful than the regular assault rifle. Like I did some testing, because you can do split screen. Which is nice for custom games. It's also got the Forge mode, which is their like level creator. So there's already like tons of custom content available for you to get from players. It's got a really healthy player base. The mod creators, the most recent player numbers they posted after the latest version release was something like 7,000 or 8,000 daily unique players.
Damn.
So, I mean, there's a huge demand for Halo on PC. The only game that's ever been on PC before, the only two. There was the special Windows Vista version of Halo 2, and then the original Halo Combat Evolved is on PC. And those are the only two Halo games that have ever been on PC, at least in the actual first-person Halo games. And it's weird at first playing it on a PC, because I've played Halo my entire life on console. But, I mean, it's immediately better, obviously. PC Master Race. But it's also painfully apparent some of the things that they've done to make the game playable on the console. The game is so slow. Like, I never felt like Halo was slow before until I played it on PC, and then it's like, oh.
Now you can see why I hated the original Halo when I played it recently. Right?
Yeah, the game is so fucking slow.
And
but
everything is so bullet spongy.
Yeah, well, I'm used to that from playing Halo, though. I mean, that's the same. The lack of aim assist, though, is really nice. You can get headshots much easier with a mouse. But
wait, you mean a mouse is more accurate?
But yeah, I've never argued that point. But
trust me, I've seen that argument, but it's usually people that don't realize just how fucking strong aim assist is on consoles.
Yeah, the game also looks much better than any console iteration. Like, this version looks better than Halo 5 on the Xbox One. It also doesn't have that stupid bullshit that they've done in the most recent one to try and squeeze out some extra frame rate by blackbarring it, essentially. Because in Halo 5, and I think they did it in Halo 4 too, like, they put the visor in part of in your field of view, like the helmet visor. But basically what that does is that gives them black bars where they don't have to render stuff. It just stays black.
Much, yeah.
So, but that's not in Halo 3 because they weren't doing that shit.
Did they
back
at least
then.
put the HUD there? Of course not, right?
Ooh, I don't remember in Halo 4, but no, they did not do that in Halo 5. So, yeah, I mean, if they've recently, like, last week they got into some trouble, so I decided to play it before Microsoft, like, attempts to take it down. But it's gotten popular enough that now Microsoft has come after them, and they've said that they've paused development while they are in dialogue with Microsoft.
Okay, I'm not the only one that hears the very old school Mario sound for pause whenever I hear pause development these days. You know, that do.
Yeah, I guess, because I didn't hear it in my head. I don't know. I mean, anything's possible, but I don't see how they could take this down because it's in the wild. And it's beloved by thousands of people, and that number seems to be growing at a pretty rapid pace.
Oh, don't worry. Microsoft will see this and they'll try to take it down because the only reason why we don't get Halo on PC is, I say we as if I play Halo or give a damn about it, is it's a system seller. It's pretty much the only thing that drives Xbox sales these days, isn't it? That and sports games.
Yeah, Xbox has a very glaring hole in their console lineup. They're trying to improve it, but Sea of Thieves was a mess, and it's not looking good for...
Didn't it lose over half its player base once the first month ended and the Game Pass players left?
It lost more than that. It was like 2/3 or 3/4 of its player base.
Well,
it still has... It sold like 2.5 million copies.
Yeah, it sold way more than it deserved.
Yeah. But anyways, if you want to play Halo, like you as in listener, or you, Rage, I have all of the files, and I can put them on Dropbox or Google Drive or something. That way you can get them. I don't know if they're available still on the official site after Microsoft basically sent a cease and desist to them. And a lot of the places where you could find them have been taking the files down so that they also don't get targeted. But, it's out there in the wild, like I said. So if anyone wants the files, I can give them to you. It's all just a nice, simple, unzip the file and install it. And it's all contained within the El Dorito file.
What flavor?
So. Oh, I don't know.
I
thought it was El Dorado for a while, and then I went and I looked, and I was like, nope, that's El Dorito, like Mountain Dew and Doritos, I assume.
Yeah. Yo, Gamer
it's
Fuel.
Like a play on that.
I did try the new Dorito flavor.
What's the new Dorito flavor?
Blaze. Yo, blazing, man.
I assume that's supposed to be like a new spicy flavor?
Oh, it's actually very spicy.
Oh, okay. I've never been a fan of the spicy Doritos, not because I don't like spicy things, but I don't know, they just have like a weird taste. At least the flavors I've tried before.
Well, this one, it just tastes of burning.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't want something that just tastes of burning.
Well, it was free, so why the hell not?
Yeah, fair play. All right, the next game that I played is called Florence. This is a mobile title. It's $3, but it is the first mobile game I've ever played. Well, not the first, but one of the only mobile games I've ever played that takes advantage of the fact that you're playing on a mobile device to work that into the gameplay mechanics in a meaningful way. It also is one of the few games that I've played that uses the fact that you're playing a video game to help tell the story. So it was like a double plus for mobile devices. It had some similar impact to like Brothers. Not quite as strong as Brothers. Brothers was like, on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah, bashes you over the head at some points with the fuel train.
Yeah, this is more of like a 7 or an 8 on that scale. But still, I mean, that's better than a lot of games do. I'm going to be really vague for a couple minutes. It's short, and in order for me to really talk about it, I'm going to have to spoil the hell out of it. But if you want a good mobile game that offers an interesting and fairly unique experience in how you interact with it and the way that it can make you feel, Florence is an excellent game. It's got a really cute, unique art style that I've never seen before on any game.
Yeah, it's a very comic-y, webcomic-like style.
Yeah, so it's got a very unique art style. The soundtrack is brilliant and powerful, both in its simplicity, but yet its ability to convey tone to you. They really use the soundtrack in a meaningful way. And then just the way that you interact with the game really does a lot to make you feel as well and to drive home the impact of the story. So if you want a good game and you tend to agree with the things that I recommend, go for this. It's a little expensive for a mobile title at $3. You'll get, depending on how many times you want to replay through it to see the different choices, somewhere between an hour and 90 minutes out of it. So that can be a bit steep for the price tag for some people, but I felt like it was worth it. So for the next few minutes.
So quality over quantity.
Yeah, it's definitely quality over quantity. So if you don't want to see, or if you don't want to hear spoilers, skip to the timestamp for when we go talk about Divinity. The next few minutes.
Unless you don't want spoilers for that, then just skip to the news.
Yeah. Okay. So everyone who's still here wants to hear the spoilers.
I'm joking.
So Florence is a game where you play Florence, a young lady in her early to mid-20s.
Actually, mid-20s. It says 25.
Oh, does it say 25?
At 25, Florence. Florence Yayo?
Yeah. There's no there's no spoken dialogue. It's all text and music. But you play Florence, and she's, working a job, doing the thing that you got to do to pay the bills.
Oh my.
Living through life, and you go through like 3 or 4 chapters in the game of just doing that. And at first there's very little that you have to do at all besides just sort of like tap to advance the story. Then you have a phone conversation with your mom, which you can choose to actually answer or ignore. And if you ignore, like, your mom sends you a passive aggressive text message. There's a couple of little mini games, and then it hits you with the first little hint that this game is going to be more. So it's like you go home after a day of work and you're cleaning out your closet, and you find like some old scrapbooking stuff from when you were a kid, and you open the box, and it like jumps back in time to when you're a little girl, and you're like coloring stuff, and you're making like a boat and a butterfly with some stickers, and like whatever you create actually shows up. Like I made some different stuff, and that shows up like in the next scene. So I thought that was pretty neat. But then you just sort of go through this thing that's growing up, and like you're looking at photos, and a clock appears, and it's sort of opaque so you can see through it, and you turn the hands on the clock to advance time, and you see yourself as like a little girl, and you grow up, and your friends are like, you slowly drift apart from your friends as you get older, and then it's like you're in high school and everyone's like staring at their phones, and then you go to college and you're alone, And in this point, you can actually turn the clock back and like everyone comes back together, but you can't advance it until you move the clock all the way forward. And they call back to that later in a really interesting way. Then you meet the boy or the man who's in the screenshots. And most of the rest of the game revolves around your relationship with this man. Like you see him in a park and he's playing music and you're like awestruck by him, and then you run into him later and you start this dating relationship. And there's this puzzle mini game where you have to assemble a puzzle, and like he'll say something, he'll get like a speech bubble, and then you'll put together the puzzle and you'll get a speech bubble. And the more you talk to him as you go on dates, the easier the speech bubbles become, until it's just like you tap on it to fill up the thing. So it's like
Clicking.
using that it's using that mechanic to represent, like, as you grow in a relationship with someone, it gets easier and easier to talk to them, and you get to know them better, which I liked a lot. Then they use that mechanic a couple of times in the game where you get into fights with him. And so then it goes from being like a really cute color to like angry red. And the longer the fight goes on, the puzzle goes from being like rounded edges to like hard edges, and then they get all jaggedy to show that like you're really mad and you're hurting each other in this fight. And then it turns into like a race between you and him or the AI to assemble the puzzle faster. And whoever like assembles it the fastest by the end like wins the argument. And there's a couple of different little outcomes depending on whether you win the argument or he does. But then there's a time where you can like apologize to each other and repair and come back together. It does something really powerful with having you. So it's like time advances and you grow in your relationship and you move in together, and you move into your apartment or he moves into your apartment, and you go through and you're like, what of my stuff do I want to get rid of? And what of his stuff do I want to put in? And it lets you pick. But then later when the relationship falls apart and he moves out, it's like all of that stuff that you got rid of before is gone, and now his stuff is gone too. And there are these holes in your life to represent, what it's like to lose someone that you've been with for a long time. It does some really interesting things too with that puzzle mechanic again, like as the relationship continues to falls apart in the end. So this is where it like really uses, I think, a touchscreen device and that ability. So it's like there's this chapter called Drifting Apart, and it's another one of those puzzles that you have to put together. But this one is a picture of the two of you, and as you're dragging the puzzle together on the screen, the pieces like are very slowly drifting apart from each other. And so you have to like drag as fast as you can to try and put it all back together. And that's an interesting like metaphor for like if a relationship is falling apart and you're really trying to save it, like how frantic it can be and how stressful it can be. And then at the end they like subvert that puzzle mechanic. Like you put the puzzle together and it's a picture of the two of you, but each of them can be assembled as a whole, but their pieces don't fit together anymore. So you can't actually put them back together.
Aww.
I cried a little. I cried a couple of times during this short game. And all the while during all of this is going on, like the soundtrack, for example, like when the couple first gets together, is like faster and upbeat, like this nice, happy, sort of almost peppy piano music, because it's representing like your relationship is new and everything is wonderful and happy. But then it cuts to like a somber, like single cello at the end as the relationship is falling apart.
And it's always a sad ending?
That part is always a sad ending. But it goes on past that. Probably 2/3 of the game is the arc of this relationship. There's a little bit at the beginning that introduces you to some of those mechanics and sort of sets up Florence. And then after, what was his name? Kitch or Kirch? He's a Indian. So I'm not 100% sure if I'm remembering that properly, like his name. Oh, it says Krish. It says right here. Okay, Krish. After Krish leaves to pursue his passion, there's like a scene of you like going back to your day job, and then it's like you are clearing out your desk, like getting rid of mementos from your relationship and stuff, and you find your painting set, and that's Florence's passion, is art. And so the rest of the story is sort of like she decides, he left to pursue his dream. I'm going to see if I can pursue mine. And that part of the story is fixed. Like, she becomes an artist and she opens like an online store, like an Etsy type store, and starts making a living doing what she loves. There's from that point, like, the story bit is linear, but it still allows you to make a few decisions. Like, when you're cleaning out your desk, you find a picture of you and Kish from like the beginning of your relationship, and you can choose to keep the picture or get rid of it, and it doesn't make any comment on what you do. It just allows you to make that choice, and then you can sit there and reflect on it. Because I made it, like, the first time I thought about it for a minute, and then I kept the picture. And once I put it in the box to keep it, it wouldn't let me take it out. And I was like, oh, I'll go back here, and I'll see if I can close the box without putting the picture in it, because it's like you're cleaning out your desk from work to take your stuff home.
Mm-hmm.
And I left the picture on the desk the second time, and it didn't make me take it. So I assumed that, she left it or she threw it away.
So no video game logic here.
No video game logic there.
Ding.
There's some other moments, too, where you make a choice that there's no consequence for. It's just, like, your own personal choice. Like, there's no consequences, for example, if you get rid of all of his shit when he moves in, or if you get rid of all of your shit. But then later, whenever it's removing things that you put in, it's like, oh, there's nothing of his that I put in, and it, your own.
Yeah, he's kind of screwed.
Yeah. But I think that it allows you to reflect on, like, what type of relationships you've had and what type of person you are. Because I very much tried to go, like, 50-50. There were some things like, I have a toaster and he brought a toaster, so we don't need to keep his toaster. That doesn't matter. And, like, he brought some other kitchen appliances that I had. But, like, you can, like, you have, like, a shoe rack. And he brings 3 pairs of shoes. And so if you want to put any of his shoes on, like, all of your shoes take up the entire rack. So you have to throw out some of your shoes. And I was like, well, I mean, I have like 9 pairs of shoes. He only brought 3. I could get rid of 3 pairs of shoes, to accommodate his stuff. And then when he's gone, it's like, oh, there's 3 holes on the shoe rack.
Aww.
And the same for like the living room and the entertainment center. Like, he brings like a record player, and because his passion is music. So he brings an old record player and like stacks of records, and he's got some musical instruments and stuff. And I was like, well, I've just got like junk sitting over here. I'll throw all this junk out and put his stuff there. But then when he leaves, it's like, oh, like, I filled up my life with his stuff, and now that he's gone, I have all these holes in my life. So it's very representative of the type of relationships you have, and that I find that fascinating. And it doesn't, reward you or punish you. It just shows you, like, you filled up your life with all of his stuff, and now his stuff is gone. Or you didn't put any of his stuff in there, and now that he's gone, like, what's really changed for you? It's just a cute little game that uses gameplay mechanics to say so much without literally saying anything.
Yeah, this looks like it's their first game, at least on the Google Play Store.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to their website and checked, and yeah, this is the first game they've ever developed. They're an Australian indie team. It was beautiful and brilliant, and I loved it, and I cried a couple of times while I was playing it.
It sounded like you're tearing up now.
I'm just thinking about it. It's getting to me a little bit. I haven't shed any tears yet, but I'll let you know if I do.
Well, I would offer you a shoulder to cry on, but I'm not falling for that one.
Fair. I mean, there's a few things that the game might have done without. Like, you do it one time and get the point across, but it makes you brush your teeth several times. That mechanic is like, you just like move the toothbrush back and forth on the screen. And like one time, okay, that's cool. I got it. You're introducing interactive elements, but you brush your teeth like 3 or 4 times. Oh, the clock mechanic. They bring that up a second time after you break up with Krish and he moves out. You're like standing after you've like examined the whole house and all of his stuff is gone. There's like a ghost image of him beside you. And
wait, he died?
No, he doesn't die, but it's like,
I was making a joke.
Oh, okay. Sorry. But there's like a ghost image of him standing beside you, and if you move the clock forward, like, the ghost disappears and it's like you're moving on with your life. But if you try and turn the clock backwards, it like the image doesn't come back. And it's like you can't turn back time. Like this is happening to you right now. You can't turn back time. It's a beautiful little game. I loved it. I'd buy it again if I could. I'm trying to think if I can use this for therapy somehow.
What, that you can't go back, or?
No. The game itself.
Well, I meant the metaphor not really metaphor, but the thing in the game as therapy.
Yeah, sort of. But I mean, like the entire thing. Like, here, let's sit down in a session and you play this game. Like someone who struggled with loss or relationship issues, just have them act it out in a game. I don't know. I'll think about it. Maybe I can use it. I've used video games in therapy before. But yeah, Florence, lovely game. I basically just ruined the entire experience for you, though, because I took the punch out of pretty much every moment. Well, not every moment. There are many smaller moments I didn't talk about, but...
Yeah, but the people that really cared about that are waiting for us in the future.
That's true. That's very true. And then they've come back and they've listened to us.
Spoilers. Assuming we're past the timestamp now.
Yeah. Spoilers are done, which means that we can go talk about our mini game club.
And more spoilers.
Yeah, for Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition.
Yeah, we ended up playing a lot of this game.
We played this game for a year and a half.
Yeah, actually, I'm heading over to my YouTube channel to see when the actual first episode date was, because I wanted to see, We still have about 2.5 weeks left in the backlog. Somewhere in there. The problem with my library is that I have a playlist for every single game I've done, so there's a lot of them. And I also break up Primworld, so I'm looking for it. Let's see, where are you? No, there we are. And the full playlist, because I don't need to do that. First episode was November 30th, 2016.
November 30th, 2016. Damn.
Which, obviously, we played before that, but...
Yeah. So November is a year. December.
Right at a year and a half.
April, May. Yeah. Pretty much exactly a year and a half.
Yeah. Impressive.
Indeed. I mean, we didn't play, we played once a week.
For an hour or two, or a couple hours, somewhere between an hour and to 2 hours, usually.
Yeah. Yeah, we tried to go for an hour each episode. There were some that were shorter, some that were longer. A couple that were crazy stupid long.
Like that last one?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a really good place to split that. No,
we had to finish that. Yeah, obviously, because we're talking about we finished the game, but the last episode we recorded was, 90 minutes?
Something like that.
Or more?
And
yeah.
The problem with the last couple of fights was that they just were stalling tactics a lot of times.
Yeah.
Which, let's talk overall in the game real quick. What do you think of the game overall? As a complete package without really singling anything out?
As a complete package, I really liked it. If I was going to give it a letter grade, if I was a teacher and I was grading the work of Divinity, my student, I would give it
Are we getting the red marker out?
Well, we will for parts of it, but I would give it a solid B+.
Yeah, I think I would agree with a B.
Yeah, certain aspects of it were a bit better. Certain aspects of it were a bit worse. But overall, it's a good B+ game.
I think somewhere in there, probably in the mid to lower B range for me. But that's more me getting into gameplay more than anything else, because there was some very, very bad sections of gameplay. Incidentally, we kind of skipped an entire sequence on the final boss as well.
Did we?
Yeah.
What did we skip?
The boss had 4 phases, and we were only halfway through 3 before Medora said that's enough.
Oh, well, that's because the phases don't trigger until you kill all of the summons.
Or he hits a certain percentage of health.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but we wiped out like 4,000 health with that last attack.
I didn't even go back to look to see just how hard that hit was, but that was a monstrous hit.
Yeah.
Which our party consisted of my playable character, which was I guess a ranger hybrid, a ranger caster hybrid. Yours, which was pretty much a pure sorcerer.
Yeah.
Or wizard, or whatever you want to call it, since source is evil. Then
my character was a wizard. A mage!
Then we had your companion was Bear Darter, who was a ranger with a couple of a couple of spell abilities, but nowhere near as strong as I'll put into it.
Yeah, mine was very basic spells. I had a basic summon, and that was really the only spell I went for.
Yeah,
I went up with a couple that I took for the end that I actually never used.
Yeah, I went a lot more on spellcasting, a lot more support. And then we had Medora, which was the MVP of our group.
Yeah, she was our tank and our DPS.
Yeah, she was a knight class that is essentially a warrior, only more badass. Two-handed sword, and whatever she started critting, things just instantly died, including the final boss of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, she did at least 50% of the damage to the final boss, if not more. And in that final battle, there were our four characters, plus we had 2 support characters for the entire time, and then 1 support character that, because of story reasons, would alternate between an ally and an enemy.
Because...
Well, the bug was what counted her as dead. The bug wasn't why she swapped back and forth.
I'm not sure if it was supposed to cleanse her before that or not. This game is buggy as hell.
Yeah, if it wasn't for all of the bugs, I would have said it was like an A- game. Because overall, I really enjoyed the story. I mean, there was stuff that we forgot because we played the game over the course of 18 months. But this, constantly as we went through the game, I enjoyed the story, the freedom with which you could approach problems and storytelling elements.
Granted, sometimes there was times that they didn't account for a certain amount of freedom that you had, and other times that they artificially restricted the amount of freedom that you had.
Yeah.
Which irritated me.
But in general, it's wide openness and extremely deep lore in this game. That's... I'm well known for the most part for being the story guy out of the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a really well written, high quality story.
Yeah, well,
so that gave it a lot of points.
I would say until the second half, where it kind of had this major lull.
Yeah.
But this is a game of really two halves. Throughout the game, you go through, I would say, 4 major maps. Would that be fair? You have the first town with its surrounding area. You have the second town and its surrounding forest. You have the winter map. And then you pretty much have the series of... then you have the Phantom Forest, which is its own separate thing.
Yeah, and then there's the third town, too. There's 3 major towns, the winter area, the forest... And I guess technically the homestead, like the astral plane or whatever.
Essentially your home base, which honestly we never really utilized.
Not really. There's a lot of stuff that you can do there with having a base to go to and infinite storage and
be able to send stuff there constantly, but
yeah. But yeah, we never used it really. It was too difficult. I'd probably use it more if I was by myself, but the two of us would have to coordinate.
Yeah, and also a lot of loading screens.
A lot of loading screens. Although it wasn't too bad for me. I put it on my SSD.
Well, see, I didn't put it on my SSD.
I did that mostly for recording performance. Combination of recording performance and just if there's going to be any problem with this game, it's not going to be,
me.
It's not going to be me. Because I was player 1. I was the one who hosted the game and had all the saves.
Yeah.
So I was I had a bazillion backup saves that I still have, and I'll probably keep them for a little bit just in case. I don't know why, but just in case, before I get rid of them.
Yeah, make sure all the videos are out.
Yeah. But
Yeah, but you could
yeah.
definitely tell that they spent a lot more time on the first half of the game and a lot more polish on the first half of the game.
Yeah.
Because it was a lot
They
more
make
tighter of an experience. There was this giant lull once you got to the second map where the story just kind of stops for quite a while.
Yeah, you spend a lot of time spinning your wheels in that second town. We also had the problem because the game, because it's open, like we said, sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. And we got lost or confused, like we missed something.
Well, the thing
And
was that it was very unintuitive because there was a forced stealth section, which I fucking hated. That counteracted all logic. Because in every single other RPG, whenever you encounter an enemy that is invulnerable, that usually means you're not supposed to go there yet, and you're supposed to go do something else.
Right.
But
in this game, you have to sneak past them.
And our characters were not designed for stealth, and the tools that we had that could be used were artificially removed, and that was the only time that they ever did that.
Yeah. And because of also, it was sneaking, if you're trying to use like an invisibility potion, which was how we got past a couple of areas in the game later on, because I had both the skills and the materials to craft the really big ones that lasted for more than 3 turns.
Which like turns were a few seconds outside of turn-based combat.
Yeah, they were maybe like 5 to 10 seconds a turn.
Which that is a little bit of jank, having everything referred to as turns whenever outside of combat it's real time.
Yeah. Yeah, there were some design issues with the game, and there were a few besides the forced stealth section. They did a couple of other things where the hot and cold thing was weird. So at one point in the game, there's a specific path you have to follow to get through this area. And if you stray off of the path, it's instant death.
Yeah, there's a tomb that you have to go through. Well, maybe not have to go through because how you could approach quests, there's different ways that you could do it with different results. Or you could just, leave because that is an option for certain side quests. And the safe route was all the warm buffs. But if you strayed too far into the cold buffs, it instantly killed you. But there were several times that it was tough to tell what buff was the safe one, because both of them would be flashing on the screen, or they would change as you were being struck down. Even if you were just, slowly crawling along.
Yeah, as slow as you could. But this game is not meant to be stealthy, and it's not meant to be uber precise outside of combat.
Honestly, in combat, it's not very precise, just with the, enemies moving, you click through them.
Yeah, there's plenty of times whenever the pathing would just run you through fire or poison or something, even though it's like, it shows you going around. Sometimes they just dip their toe in and that's enough. Or like if you're just clicking on the overworld map, they'll just go straight from point A to point B and not avoid any obstacles at all.
Yeah, there's 2 completely different pathing systems, and also whenever it would show you the preview of your line of sight for a shot, sometimes you'll hit the ground and it doesn't show that because I guess you're shooting from your feet.
And the worst thing of all is the misclicks when the enemy, like, there's no hitboxes. So there's no like tiles to click on that guarantees you'll hit the enemy. You actually have to click on their character model, and they all have idle animations. And sometimes those idle animations move just enough that if you click at the wrong time, you won't actually click on them. But there's no like confirm. Yeah. So if they move and you misclick, that means you're going to start walking in that direction and waste potentially your entire turn doing that.
And for some fights, that's game over.
Yeah.
This game has an Iron Man mode and a tactics mode, which beefs up the AI and gives them new bags of tricks. I could see why not many people have beat this game on Iron Man mode. It would be fucking infuriating, particularly some of the rather nasty tricks that it throws at you.
Yeah, the instant deaths.
Especially that one boss fight towards the end of the first chapter, where if you have it spread out, it's instant death, or you don't know it's coming, it's instant death.
Yeah. I forget what his name was, but like
Braxis
you run
Rex.
into the room. Was that
Yeah.
Braxis? Okay, I can't remember if it was him or another boss, but you run into the room, and after you talk to him, he immediately calls down what I believe is the meteor spell.
Meteor strike.
Yeah, and it can insta-kill your entire party.
Yeah, if you have it put on essentially resistance gear, because resistance potions and spells would wear off during the chat.
Yep.
Which is
because that still counts as real time outside of combat.
Yeah, which is a BS move.
So,
I'm honestly a little shocked that we didn't get killed during the ending dialogue because
we were standing in fire.
Yeah, one of the characters exploded into fire, and we were stuck in dialogue while standing in fire and just watching our armor get destroyed.
Yeah, but there's plenty of foibles and faults with it, but it does some really interesting things too, like how well it actually interacts elements together. Like by the end of the game, in that final fight, I used a teleport scroll to drop somebody into the middle of a poison cloud, and they were on fire. So they took damage from the fall from the teleport, because the teleport like drops them from like 10 feet in the air or something like that. And they were on fire, so when they fell into the poison cloud, they got poisoned, and the cloud exploded, doing additional damage to them. And there's tons of little interactions that you can do to create interesting effects or to exploit enemy weaknesses.
Like throwing barrels at someone and, igniting the barrel.
Yeah.
And causing that to explode into a giant field of flame. We did that a couple times.
We did that many times. Or electrifying puddles underneath someone's feet. And it can be puddles of anything that's liquid. Blood, water, urine, poison, like toxic sludge on the ground. They all can get electrocuted and will do damage. But the problem is that it doesn't
always show where that puddle leads, because there were several times that you would electrify something and it would connect to other things that you weren't intending. At least I hope you weren't intending. It would stun at least one of our characters.
Yeah.
So I do think that the game could have done its information a little bit better. And also its AI, because, oh boy, the AI has a lot of tricks that it could use, and it gets confused often. The last fight, the AI had no idea what it was supposed to do at times.
Yeah, one of our ally AI he didn't get stuck. He could have moved, but he just kept standing right in front of the main end boss, and he was the only character that died. I mean, he got rezzed.
Yeah, by another ally, but
he got better.
He just got wrecked.
Yeah.
It was hilarious because he would walk away from the boss, shoot something because he was a mage, and then run back up and start hitting the thing with the main boss with the wand, or his little stick or whatever he was equipped with. But it was just ridiculous. And that's not the only time that we had that. We had one time that we had a character pretty much just run away and hide in the corner. You remember that in the mines?
Yeah.
And it took us a bit to realize why we weren't out of combat yet.
Yeah, we had to find him.
And for the most part, that wouldn't be bad, but there were several times that the turn timer would break. And, if he was on the current screen, that would have been a lot tougher. What was some of the bugs we had? We had the turn timer break. We had
health sink.
Yeah, well, health sink. We had times that my weapon wouldn't equip, or it wouldn't show me having a weapon equipped. So, all my ranger abilities that required a bow equipped would be unavailable. We had
the health sink one was constant too, because for me, like I would see his health at the correct value, because I assume it's because I was the host of the game.
Yeah, it would be you local, but it would be some sort of rounding error, and I would see everyone at approximately 2/3 to 75% health.
Yeah, thank God I was a mage, and there's a spell that
essentially
ups your constitution stats, but when it does that, it recalculates health. and so you can use that to fix the health sink bug. But if I wasn't a mage, I mean, we would have had to have wasted points or money, XP points or money.
Granted,
and skills
money
into
wasn't
being able to
exactly
have
an
that.
issue because I ended up the game with like 50,000 gold. And not even accounting the junk I was carrying to sell.
Yeah, I ended the game with something like 13,000. I bought a ton of stuff to prepare for the final battle that I didn't even need. And before that, I had 40
Yeah, honestly, I was
50,000
expecting the
gold,
final
too.
battle to be a lot more of a battle of attrition.
Yeah,
But then again, like I said, we skipped an entire phase because Medora pretty much ended it. To be fair, I did call that.
yeah.
Because you were all tactical, using the poison effects and the different spell effects. I just threw Medora at problems.
Yeah, but I didn't have Medora.
Yeah, but at first you were questioning me even bringing Medora. Why are you bringing her? And towards the end,
I didn't like her at first. I didn't like her character at first.
yeah, but toward the end, she was your favorite. That's a whole
Well, I mean,
lot of woman.
She was more powerful than at least any two of us put together. Maybe all three of the other characters combined. That might be a little bit of a stretch, because if all three characters were attacking on the same turn, I don't know, it's tough to say, but she was at least as powerful as two of us. So, of course she was my favorite. And she was funny, too, because she's got a southern belle. Well, that's not really a southern belle. That's just kind of like an extreme southern accent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. It fits her character perfectly.
Yeah, her character was a disgraced source hunter. She essentially abated her post after she was essentially beaten to death and was brought back to life. And then she ran away and was feeling a lot of dishonor, and she wanted to redeem herself in the order. And she was also slightly paranoid.
Yeah.
Seeing, at least in the very beginning, seeing plots and trickery everywhere.
The feline menace.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't like cats.
Well, to be fair, with Aru, you can't blame her. Which Aru...
Yeah, Arhu is a wizard cat.
Actually, a cat wizard.
And, yeah, cat wizard.
Yeah, he was a cat that was made a man by by the main antagonist, wasn't it? Or one of the main.
He was made a man by Cassandra, who was Braxis's sister.
Braxis Rex's sister.
Who was a bad guy, but she wasn't one of the... a bad girl. She's a bad girl. But she wasn't one of, like, the main bad
Yeah, she was
girls.
wanting to be a main bad girl, but she just never was able to stand up to the big leagues.
Yeah. Which there's a number of different ways that mini quests can go. Like that quest, for example, she captures Arhu at the end. And you have a few options with what you can do.
Yeah, you can bargain with her and to essentially mind rape Aru to love her again.
Yeah.
Because he's seen that she's gone completely batshit insane because she was turned into a lich.
Yep, we discovered that's the proper pronunciation of the word lich is lich.
Yeah, you have to add the extra phlegm though.
Lich.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh.
But which corrupted her and turned her evil. But until that point, they very much loved one another. And she was wanting to corrupt Aru to her view of things, essentially. So you could work out a deal with her. You could actually just leave him and leave the quest open.
Yep.
You could free Aru, and he'll just beat the ever-living snot out of her. But you have to make her vulnerable so she dies.
Yep.
You could get what's called a stasis fern to essentially lock Aru in his cat form, and then he kills her.
You can actually kill Arhu to complete that quest too.
Yeah, I was about to say
I looked up a bunch of the quests.
I would assume that you could kill him.
Yeah, you can kill him, and then she'll still complete the quest and give you the Soul Forge spell.
By give, I mean, she's probably pissed with us and we have to kill her, or?
No, she just gives it to you.
Despair?
It's like, Arhu refuses to join her. It's like a dialogue thing you can prompt between them, and he refuses to ever love her again, and she gets mad, and she's like, "Oh, I'll kill you," and then you help her kill Arhu, and then she's like, "Thank you. I guess he was never gonna love me again," and then she gives you the spell. And then you can go on the little quest and remove her immunity and come back and kill her too for extra XP, because you would get the XP for killing Arhu, the XP for completing the quest, and then the XP for killing her.
Oh, the video game logic version of it.
Indeed. We did that a number of times.
We never did go back and kill the starting town, now that I think about it.
We didn't.
I mean, to be fair, it's kind of child's play at this point.
Yeah, they're all like level 4, 5, 6 tops. We're level 21, which is the highest level you can reach in the game.
Well, we'd be level 20 because there's a point of no return.
Oh, that's right, because we turned level 21 during the final...
We turned 21 with the experience from the final boss.
Right.
Which, yeah, that's just perfect, right?
Yeah. There's a bunch of different endings, too. So there's a few variations on, like, the main game ending. Like, the main ending is you always defeat the Void Dragon.
And lock them back in the God Box.
Yeah, in the God Box. There's a couple of different characters who can die or live or get bugged out and be treated as if they died.
Yeah, which is what happened to us. I'm certain I didn't put that scroll away, so it was in my inventory somewhere, and it just didn't. The flag on it didn't trigger because it was probably in a bag.
Yeah. And then there's like a little ending where it's like, the game.
And Savior number 1 and Savior number 2 end story. Essentially, you get teleport. Actually, the portion with the Source Academy is new in the Enhanced Edition.
Okay. I didn't read that anywhere, but I could see that. That makes sense. But yeah, then you get this little flavor, and I was Savior number 1, and you were Savior number 2. And for our flavor, like, my character fell in love with you, but you didn't reciprocate. And I would like think about you every time there was a sunset, and you like forgot all about me after your next meal.
Yeah, after breakfast.
But there's a bunch of different ones of those.
Yeah, including
like
just
a dozen.
Yeah, including just falling in love so much that you create your own Soul Forge, which is essentially just linking your two lives together to the point where if one dies, the other dies instantly.
Yeah. And that's all based off of a combination of your traits, like bold, romantic, whatever. Like, basically, dear listener, there are these like little flavor things you can get based on your responses to conversations and certain actions you take,
and conversations with one another.
Yeah, that give you bonuses to different abilities depending on which way you lean, or different stats. And then there were also key conversations that it kept track of how we responded to one another or to whoever it was we were talking to.
Actually, Medora is also a character that gets a lot of mileage out of conversation because her quest could... all the companions have their own side quest because, yeah, it's an RPG. And Medora's could turn out a couple different ways depending on how you treated her and how you taught her throughout the game. Because she's this very vindictive, borderline hateful person at the very beginning. And that's probably why you didn't like her.
Yeah. Well, it's the same for Baird, too, because we looked it up.
Yeah,
I remember
Baird was also
playing.
very naive at the beginning.
If you're not, honest and kind to her and sort of teach her about the duality of man, like when you get to that fight with her antagonist person, she will join him. And then you have to fight her, too.
Well, at least you get her loot back?
Yeah, you would get her loot back, but she has it during the fight. Which would be rough, because she had a lot of special arrows. But, yeah, let's see. We've been off in the weeds for a little while. Are there any general overall stuff that you want to talk about besides just...
Well, we've hit a bit on the tactical side of things and how it works and kind of how it doesn't. We didn't really go too much into the story, but that's a very, very, very big topic.
Yeah. We could be here for a while talking about that. I mean, it's, to really, like, sum it up and really in a nutshell, it's a pretty standard sort of adventure.
Yeah, it starts off as a murder mystery.
Yeah, it starts off as a murder mystery, but relatively quickly expands into what you would think of as a sort of typical fantasy, magical...
Save the world
chosen one storyline.
Or chosen ones. Chosen two.
Yeah. Just the two of us. And our other two companions.
But mostly Medora.
Yeah. Do you ever think you'll play it again?
Probably not. Or at least not all the way through.
Yeah. I don't think so either.
I think if I play it again, I would definitely power game it, and because there are certain combinations that work a lot better together. Like towards the end, once I gave Medora some of the air magic, and she was able to teleport around a lot easier. She had two abilities that she could do what's called a thunder leap, which would teleport her to an enemy and have a chance to stun them. Then she had a teleportation spell, which she could drag someone to her.
Yeah, and then you also had Bull Rush, which was a move attack which could knock an enemy down.
Yeah, Is that what
it was called, Bull Rush? I mean, I want to go back and experience some of the things that we didn't, because there were two other companions that we didn't even touch.
Yeah.
And I'd like to experience a different style of gameplay.
But not together,
I mean,
right?
I watched... Yeah. Well, I mean, I watched you play a melee character the entire game, but both of my characters were ranged. I was a ranged mage, and then my sidekick was a ranged character.
Yeah, and
she
I had
a crossbow.
Yeah, and I had melee and a ranged. So I was trying to dance around all the flames because you were an AoE focused mage that did a lot of ground effects, which
mostly fire based,
which were, I have to admit, kind of irritating at times, especially with
That's
a
fair.
character that is so reliant on positioning.
Yeah, but I mean, I would like to experience that and try out some of the stuff I didn't even touch. Like, it wasn't until the very end of the game that I picked up some of the witchcraft spells, and those were some really good ones. Like that one had a charm spell, a buff attack spell, a steal life spell. Yeah, like there's some good things in there that I didn't even see until the very end of the game.
Like when I summoned the air elemental, and you were trying to figure out what the hell that was.
Yeah.
And the air elemental actually was very useful because I was able to gently lift a person that was very injured and in fire, and set them gently behind you so you could heal them.
Yeah. But, there's some aspects to the gameplay I'd like to see. There's some story stuff that we completely skipped because of those two side characters that we missed.
And there was a couple minor side quests that we never finished.
Yeah. But I just, I think I've had my fill of this game. Maybe after some time has passed, a year, 2 years, maybe next time I'm on a trip in the future when I have a better laptop, because my laptop can play it, but quite poorly. Maybe in a couple of years I would go back and revisit it. I do want to check out the second one, but I still need a break before I jump into that.
Because CRPGs are very tiring.
Yeah.
After playing around with Medora, though, I do think that I may be able to appreciate the rogue a bit more, but I would definitely need the tank as well. So, either Medora or take a... There's also the whole mercenary system that we never touched, which is essentially just a randomly generated character that you could hire. But honestly, the named companions, I would say, are the real meat of the party. And there's also a few mods. One that allows you to have more characters, which makes some fights a joke, but others, I don't think it really matters that much. Particularly the final few. there's delaying tactics, there's invulnerability auras, there's, you have to kill everything else first, or don't have to, but it's very tough to do, otherwise. That, drew out the fights that I don't think an extra 2 characters would really matter all that much.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I really did enjoy it.
I did too. We played the whole game together.
Yeah.
You could definitely get through it faster if you played by yourself.
Well, you would also, be able to do certain things a lot faster. Be able to coordinate by yourself a lot easier. I'm a little disappointed that they never really, outside of 1 or 2 instances, make use of having 2 playable characters at the same time. Because you had the mirror dungeon at the very beginning, and then you had, before the source temple, that one sequence.
Was that the one that I discovered how to beat accidentally?
No. That may have played into it as well, but the trap with all the gates.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But, it was rare to, have it where having 2 individual players be able to coordinate together really came into play. Unless you're doing some sort of odd combo.
Yeah. I would say that it would have been useful in that last sequence that we skipped by accident, because I discovered...
Yeah, you were impatient and just sitting there twiddling your thumbs and clicking on things.
I wasn't impatient, I just fidget. And that translates into a game like this where it's like, oh, I can click on all these things. And what it was is there was a ring of candles on the floor. And I was like, oh, I'm going to click on all the candles and light all the candles in the ring. And when I did that, it was like, pew, you did a thing. And I was like, oh, well, there's this one candle in the center. I wonder what happens when I just light this one candle. And it's like, pew, you did a thing. And like in hindsight, it feels really obvious. But if you're not a player
but there's
who just
also,
like messes with stuff.
There's also so many clickable objects in that room.
Yeah. Yeah, there's tons of stuff to click and interact with that doesn't really do much. Like, you can click on stuff that's broken, and you'll be like, yep, that thing's broken. But you can still click on it. Really feeds into the gamer's need to just click everything.
Your OCD.
Open everything. Yeah. That's the only time in the whole game that paid off.
Yeah, most of the time it actually was detrimental to us.
Accidentally activating a trap or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely don't be afraid to play with a guide with this game, too, if you want to play this game. Because, I mean, we had to... there were a couple of times when we just looked at a guide to speed something along. But there were several times in the game where we were like, we're lost and we don't know what to do. Let's consult... we kept saying consult the Oracle, which was just Google. But we would look stuff up plenty of times. So don't be afraid to use a guide for this on your first playthrough, or hell, even on your second or third one when you're trying to find stuff and figure stuff out.
Yeah, it may be less important if you're playing by yourself all the way through, all the way through in less than a year and a half.
Yeah.
Because you'll remember things in between play sessions a lot easier. Because there were some times that, we'd have to try to recall something that happened to us, a month ago, 2 months ago.
Yeah, and there was some stuff at the end of the game. We were like, who are these people? And they were characters from the beginning of the game. And if you were playing through, over the course of a couple of weeks or a month, even like 2 months, you would remember that stuff. But, for us, that was over a year ago whenever we last saw that character. So... I'm sure that took away from some of the impact of that final, like, weird nightmare universe. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't really think I have anything more to add. I don't want to go off in the weeds again. Like, we've brought up all the major points, and sure, we could get into the nitty gritty, but I mean, overall,
well, obviously,
like I said,
it's time to move
game.
on. The bell tolled. That must have been an interesting waveform.
Yeah. And I'm not looking at it, but I'm sure I'll see it in editing. Yeah, it was, like I said, solid B+ game for me. I'd recommend it to somebody who likes CRPG, or honestly, someone who doesn't, this was, let's see, this was one that I wasn't interested in, but you had me check it out because you thought I would like it,
Yeah,
and I did.
yeah, I would say probably the biggest problem with it is its combat could be unintuitive. It gives you just enough information to make the wrong move at times.
Yeah.
Especially on attacking, because there's certain attacks that are AoE, essentially fanning out from you. But if the ground rises up too much, it'll block the attack. For example, the rangers on their master spells or their adept spells, there's 4 levels of spells. Or sorry, 3 levels of spells, and as you rank up, you're able to learn more and more of the different ranks. So one of the spells is called Arrow Spray, which, as the name implies, you're just rapidly shooting in an arc in front of you. Well, whenever you go to cast a spell, it shows the arc and you're able to aim it, but it doesn't show you if the ground rises up too much, it'll block the spell. Or if something gets knocked down, you'll shoot over the enemy. Which, in hindsight, makes sense, but, you're expecting to damage things in that arc, right?
Yeah. The one that bothered me was that there are plenty of AoE spells that actually have a wider area of effect than it tells you.
Or secondary effects, like the Earth Elemental has all the different elementals that you get. Well, actually, all the summons have an additional ability whenever you're directly controlling them on their turn. And the Earth Elemental has a Poison Spore ability that will shoot out poison bolts, essentially. Hit something, do poison damage, and poison the ground under them. Well, when I used it, it sprayed out a hell of a lot more than what the AoE said, which was irritating.
Well, my strongest attack had a larger area of effect than the circle told me. And the first time I used it, I didn't know that, obviously, because I'm expecting it to be within the circle. And it's like, oh shit, I hit us, despite the fact that we were outside of the circle, which is not good.
Obviously.
So.
And that's also a once per combat ability.
Yeah. Yeah, it was basically an opener. It cost so much AP. I had to use it either to initiate combat, when you don't have to worry about AP costs of stuff, or on my first turn. That was less of a problem by the end, but especially when I first got it.
But yeah, I think we're done with Divinity. Well, outside of releasing episodes, of course.
Indeed.
Feels weird, doesn't it?
Feels good. I liked Divinity, but man, it's been a long time.
Yeah, so 200-hour game now?
Maybe so. Maybe so.
I mean, we got through it in 85, 86 episodes. That actually is way below average.
What's the average time to complete?
I think it's 100.
Well, we played it more, though, than that. We had plenty of off-screen time where we had to do inventory stuff and management.
Well, the speed record for it, sorry, that's the second Divinity Original Sin. Do you want to guess the speed record for the second game while I look up the original?
2 hours.
37 minutes.
God damn it. People play these games too fast.
Let's see. Main plus extras, 84.5 hours. Completionist 109, which we were more on the completionist route. We only missed a couple of the main or major side quests. Main plus extras, though, is 84, which is a little over what we did, because we didn't spend that much time actively playing in between episodes outside of your crafting orgies.
Crafting time? Yeah, those could take forever.
Yeah, I should have brought a book. So, I think, speaking of books, let's close the book on this one.
Indeed.
And I think that went up to full game club.
It did, because we're at almost 2 hours of recording time. Before we move on any farther, though, I need to take a quick break.
Alrighty.
Moving on to the news. Skara, The Blade Remains, writes players' stories into its lore. This is a completely editorialized new heading.
I would say better.
Title. It's better, though, because the original says Skara the Blade... No, wait, You changed that one, too.
No. The original is the Leroy Jenkins approach to world building. Skara the Blade Remains developers 8-Bit Studios tells us how it's enabling players to shape the lore and story of its online fantasy battler. Which the second isn't even shown until you click it. It's just the Leroy Jenkins approach to world building.
Yeah. So they use the example of the whole Leroy Jenkins thing from WoW to be like, this is incorporated into player lore, but really what they're talking about is something more along the lines of EVE Online, where that they're utilizing player outcomes to situations to not necessarily be vague, but they were kind of vague in their article.
They're talking more about player backstories as well. Rivalries between individual players trying to outperform one another could be written into the story. Relationships could be written into the story. So it's not just things like battle outcomes that the EVE originally had.
Yeah, so EVE's 13 years old this year, 14 years old. The first few years of EVE's life was just like, we're the space sim where you can do anything. But at some point that turned into, oh my god, we have these huge player factions basically that are controlling huge portions of the galaxy and having wars, and they started putting up monuments for big battles and stuff like
EVE just
into the game.
15?
15, okay.
It released May 6, 2003.
Okay. But at some point they added like a monument for a battle, and then they've just been leaning more and more into that. And the last big update that when I was playing EVE was that players could finally construct their own space stations.
Yeah. There's all sorts of news stories about EVE turning 15.
Okay. But yeah, so I mean, EVE has been leaning into this for years at this point, and it's really worked from them. They've had steady growth and consistent player numbers for a long time because people feel like they matter. And the gist of this, I believe, is Skara wants to have their game be like that.
Yeah, but it looks like they're focusing more on smaller stories and not the bigger scale ones that EVE tends to do, which I could understand that.
Yeah, especially as a new game and a new developer. Or, well, are they new devs? Who's developing this?
I'll have to go look at that real quick. Continue talking about EVE.
What do you want me to say about EVE?
I don't know.
I mean, EVE has got officially...
8-Bit Studio.
Okay.
Which I'm looking on Steam. It's their only game. So I'm just seeing if they did other things on other places.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hang on, there it is. 8-Bit Studio, Wikipedia. Assuming this... No, it looks like this may be a different 8-Bit Studio. I mean, who would have guessed that 8-Bit Studio would be tough to find, right?
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's an anime studio. Oh. 8-Bit Studio.
8-Bit Studio Skara.
Okay, this is it. It looks like it may be their only game.
Okay, so essentially an unknown or relatively unknown dev with a new game.
Yeah, a new free-to-play game.
Yeah. It makes sense to start small like that. I mean, EVE, started small in comparison to what they're at now. I mean, chronicling, giant battles between thousands of players is I think, a bit larger scale than this, but compared to where they are now, where they actually have officially created like history videos to view the history of their world, and a massive wiki page with hundreds of articles officially curated to describe the various galaxy-changing events that have happened. They were small. What they did at the beginning was small too, so it's an interesting idea that in an age where like 90% of everything is procedurally generated, it's a new, or a new-ish, or perhaps an underused way to develop a game.
Well, this makes me think back to my World of Warcraft time, where during the sequence where I was getting disillusioned with the game, there was this huge focus on this one character. You may not have heard of him, called Thrall. And I don't know if it was the same where you played, because I know you did for a while with your mom.
Yeah.
But players were starting to get sick of hearing about Thrall this, Thrall that. And honestly, I think if players wrote the lore, they would have probably killed Thrall long ago. Actually, it would have been a lot more interesting than what they ended up doing with them. But
yeah,
there's a definite disconnect at times with lore and gameplay. More so if the developers are wanting to shove a particular storyline down the players' throats, and really just doesn't care about the feedback that the players are giving, that we're tired of this character, we want something else, or we want to go back to this place, we want to see this thing, we want to know more about this mysterious, hinted at secret in this raid that you made, years ago, that you finally put out as a 5-man dungeon, when you were originally planning on doing a full raid with extra lore bits and everything else. That it would allow a lot more of an interesting direction, I think. Granted, World of Warcraft is probably a bad example of this, because there's a lot of preset stuff, and there's a lot of nooks and crannies that players would want to go into that isn't really filled out. This, it's more of a blank slate, and allowing players to kind of color it in as they go along, which definitely has its pitfalls. It could end up being just a muddled mess and, not really making any sense. Because, it can be gamed. I mean, it's a video game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it could be a lot more interesting. It could become a lot more intricate. Or it could just fall flat on its face. Because this is a free-to-play game on a market that has a lot of them.
Yeah. I hope it pans out in a positive direction. I feel like I've seen some more here recently. Maybe backlash is too strong of a word, but games, some larger games releasing that aren't doing the whole procedural generation thing, and that aren't doing the whole let's create a massive giant thing and promise the world and not have it. I mean, there are those games that exist, obviously, that have released recently, like
War?
Sea of Thieves.
Oh, I thought you were saying that weren't doing that at all, like God of War, and that's pretty much the only major title that's not been some sort of online procedurally generated thing lately.
Yes, but there have been other indie titles. Like, indie leaned heavy on procedural generation for a while, but they're starting to, I've seen some start to get away from it a bit. Maybe not going full procedural generation, scaling it back. I feel like there's a lot of players who are saying we're tired of these massive, giant, procedurally generated things that are soulless, and this is one way to inject some soul into the game.
Yeah,
it's a fine line to walk, though, between like what the players want versus what you should do,
and also what's viable as a business, because making a giant world that's all handmade, a single person can't do that as a lifetime's work. But it's not a viable business option.
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone can be Toady 1, and create Dwarf Fortress as, his magnum opus for the last 12 or 13 years.
Yeah.
But I do think that there is definitely a middle ground in between procedural generation and handcrafted stuff. But I think as we continue on and just have a more and more computing power to be able to throw at procedural generation, it will allow more variables to make more interesting things. Hopefully. Because it also requires a lot more design work on the algorithms and all the little sub things that it puts into the world. So there's definitely some sort of middle ground that I think needs to be struck with procedural generation, which has some of my dream games in it that, like that detective game I talked about ages ago, and Pitch a Game. It relied on procedural generation for some of it, but it requires a certain type of procedural generation. And this, having it where all the players are creating the lore is kind of the opposite of that, really.
Yeah.
But it's definitely an interesting marketing gimmick at the very least. Because I never heard of this game before this.
Yeah, me neither. And it doesn't look like the type of game that I'm necessarily interested in, but who knows, I might try it out.
Yeah, it looks like it's an online brawler, so sort of battle right, I guess. Which I realize battle right is more arena than anything else. Yeah, I'm just seeing what the Steam charts are saying about this game. Ooh, those are some low numbers.
As in, like, current players?
Yes. Yeah. Well, let's put it this way. It's slightly less popular than Evolve.
Well, that's an achievement right there.
Yeah, it's actually less popular than Evolve as our measuring stick.
Playing now, 1.
That's the developer.
Although you can download this game outside
Yeah.
of Steam, there might be a player base there as well.
Yeah, may have well, I shouldn't say most. All of its player count outside of Steam. And it just came to early access recently. I'm not actually sure the history on that.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely has
Me neither.
quite a few reviews, so there's something going on.
Yeah.
Or maybe the servers are just down. Who knows? But it does look like it's still in early access and active development, so there's something going on with it at least. So, as a marketing gimmick, it worked right there. So, anything else to add?
I don't think so. Not on this one.
All right.
Moving on then, our next news topic, Pinball Arcade losing over 50 Bally / Williams tables on June 30th. This one was your topic.
Yeah, this is
so I'll let you lead.
A little bit of a PSA / kind of licensing screwing over yet another game. For those who don't know, Pinball Arcade is, well, technically a free-to-play game on Steam. It's the same sort of model that Pinball FX uses, where it has a free table and then you're able to buy DLC packs. Only the difference with Pinball Arcade, for one, is that it's a simulation, not an arcade game, which I realize the irony of that there, because, arcade games. Pinball.
Yep.
But it's a realistic simulation of licensed pinball games. And their licensing deal seems to be up. And they are cutting 2/3 of their library, including some very famous pinball games, and Doctor Who, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, The Addams Family. I'm just looking at some of these. The Black Knight 2000s, I think a pretty popular one. I mean, just an amazing amount of their Doctor Who cabinet. An amazing amount of content just being stripped away from a game because of licensing. And this is something that we've really been hitting quite often recently. It seems to be on an uptick. I'm not sure if, there's a full moon or something.
Yeah, there have been a number of licenses for various things running out for various
I mean,
games.
hell, did you hear about Roller Coaster Tycoon 3?
No?
It's completely off Steam right now.
Oh.
And same reason, licensing from its distributors gone. So the GOG and Steam has to renegotiate. So who knows if that comes back. Thankfully, I bought it at some point. Because, I don't have enough games, obviously. But, yeah, it's just... Like I said, this is more of a PSA if there's people that are interested in pinball or playing some of these rather famous but hard to find cabinets, because pinball has kind of become a bit difficult to find out in the wild outside of a major arcade or one of the major pinball museums in the US and around the world, because it's a very complex machine. Pinball is a lot more complex than you may think, and the cabinets take a beating.
Yeah.
So it's an expensive thing to keep active. That's why, when arcades were a thing, you would only see a handful of arcades have more than a few pinball machines. So this was one of the few ways to actually be able to play them. So if you want to get your fill of Star Trek The Next Generation, the pinball game, and yes, there was one. Actually, it was a pretty good one from what I understand. Or could recall. I think I played it at one point. You have until June 30th. Any comments? I mean,
Nope.
they're going from 93 tables with their EA, or with their DLC, I should say, because it's the same model that Pinball FX uses, like I said, down to 33. I mean, that's a hell of a cut. And who knows if they'll come back.
Yeah. I mean, this will be a big hit to them.
Yeah.
I assume they're trying to renegotiate.
I would assume so. But they made the announcement just in case. Or maybe to, as a negotiating deal, put a little bit of pressure, like, look at all the people that are getting these.
Yeah.
I think, that's really all I really had to say about it.
Me too. All right.
Well, you didn't have anything to say about it.
I really didn't. This was your topic. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Another one of those
just licensing
deals.
Yeah, licensing screwing the gamer again. It's getting kind of old, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, we're going to keep seeing this probably in greater frequency moving forward.
Yeah.
It's just a different world than it was even 10 years ago.
Yeah, especially
moving forward. In 10 more years, we'll probably see less of this problem, but there will be some new problem.
Well, there's kind of a slightly related problem that's going on right now with, and now I'm blanking on the initialism for the European privacy law. You know what I'm talking about, though, right? That went into effect this month, or goes into effect.
Yes.
There's smaller indie games that's just don't have a lot of a population, either shuttering or going to various different modes. Loadout is the last one that's announced that they're closing up by the end of the month. Loadout, Super Monday Night Combat. There's been a couple others that I'm blanking on, but those are the two big ones that I've at least have a history with. Where, it's too expensive to comply with the new law, which honestly I don't even know what it really changes for them, because I haven't been able to dig that deep into it.
Yeah.
So, just privacy laws and everything else. It's a changing landscape. So it'll be interesting to see where gaming goes in the next 10 years, especially as we have more of an online presence and games as a service, because you don't own your games anymore. You own a license. Yeah.
Unless you, I was going to say, unless you buy a physical copy, but that's not necessarily true either.
Because, hell, what was it, Call of Duty, that you bought a physical copy and it was a printed cardboard CD with the Steam key on it?
Maybe. That was definitely the most recent Metal Gear Solid game.
But yeah, it's getting to the point where games can and will shut down and be gone forever. To the point where the only way that you'll be able to experience them is YouTube and screenshots. There's not going to be archives of these games, which is a shame because we're going to lose a chunk of gaming history as we forget how important archiving is. We had the same problem with television. Early television. There's so many shows that are just either completely gone or just completely fractured. Some don't really matter. Others, are still, active today. I mean, the first seasons of Doctor Who, there's only bits and pieces of. And what we have are just, happenstance people kept because it wasn't considered important to archive it. People didn't think Doctor Who was going to be important back then. Who knows what game now people look at and say, that was an important game for this reason. There was this little no-name designer that worked on this game who went on to become the next, and I'm blanking on a person to call him because the next Sid Meier. I was trying to think of a positive name. I didn't want to say the next Peter Molyneux, because that's a slur in my vocabulary.
I don't know. Well, that already exists. That's Sean Murray.
Well, I don't want to call someone the next Sean Murray because, that's even worse. But you know what I'm saying? Be able to go back and see the influence that this person may have had, or, see their, what influenced them. They talk about their time playing, the original World of Warcraft. Well, you can't do that. Well, maybe you can whenever the classic or the classic servers come out, but who knows how that have changed? If it ever comes out. Speaking of World of Warcraft.
Indeed. Speaking of World of Warcraft, a World of Warcraft attacker is jailed in the United States over a DDoS attack.
Yeah, this is
I'm opening the link.
A very, very old DDoS on on World of Warcraft. So that just says how long it took them to get this guy. And it's rare to really get someone that performs a DDoS because they're commanding a botnet. So it's kind of just an oddity on itself.
Yeah. Yeah. My brain just kind of floated away as I tried to form a sentence.
Quick, catch it. Don't open the window.
It's gone. It's gone. The fan blew it away.
So you're an airhead now.
Pretty much. It's interesting to see this. I mean, it took roughly 8 years for this to all come to fruition.
Yeah, this is from the initial attack. The initial attack was between February and September 2010.
And as far as I know, there haven't been very many other cases where this someone has actually been persecuted for doing this. So on the one hand, I'm like, I don't know if this is actually gonna really mean anything. On the other hand, I'm going, well, I think this is a good thing. I mean, we need digital law basically to catch up to where we are. Granted, I'm not sure I want this administration being in charge of any of that, but that's a discussion for another time.
Well, look at it this way. By the time they figure it out, this administration should be gone because the wheels of government turn slowly. Unless greatly prompted. And having a presence online like this, to have persecution online, I don't think it's going to prompt them that quickly.
Yeah.
Unless there's some sort of directed attack towards the U.S. government. I mean, that's the only way.
Yeah. I thought that there would be more to say about this, but maybe there's not.
I guess the reason why we don't really see these many of these prosecutions, for DDoS attacks is that they're kind of hidden behind the veil of just zombies. You see all the zombie horde, but you never see the necromancer in the very back commanding everything. And I realize that's an odd analogy, but that's kind of how it works. Hey, it's better than a series of tubes, right?
Yeah. Tide comes in, tide goes out. Can't explain it.
The moon, motherfucker!
Yeah.
But that's really how it works, is that, they just flood with these zombie computers that most of the time people don't even know that they're attacking. So if, anyone is even singled out, you're getting an innocent person.
Yeah, I wonder if just in... It's always a race, though, between, offense and defense. I wonder if now at this point the technology exists or has been refined such that it's easier to find the person who's in control. I mean, there are bot networks for hire now.
Yeah.
That in some way could make it easier to potentially find an attacker. This would have been before then. I don't know. I'm a little bit out of my depth. I mean, I'm knowledgeable and in the tech. I can program the VCR, damn it. But, and I understand what a DDoS attack is, but when it comes to actually tracking down these people, I'm a little bit out of my element there. I find it interesting, at the very least, like, is law starting to take a couple of steps towards catching up to where we're at?
Well, I think first they need to figure out what an email is.
Oh.
And I know that sounds like a joke, but that isn't.
Nope. What Facebook is and how it operates.
Oh, don't worry. They'll have Zuckerberg there on his booster seat.
Yeah. with his cushion.
Oh. I know. It shouldn't attack short people, right?
Yeah. The vertically challenged.
Or fun-sized.
I guess it depends on how you look at that. Alrighty. Well, moving on to our next topic. You will need to pay Nintendo Switch's online subscription to back up your saves. And also, as kind of a little aside, Nintendo Switch's online service stuff has been officially announced now.
Yeah, can I go on record to say, fuck you, Nintendo?
I think you just did.
Thank you. Nintendo is... It's amazing how anti-consumer Nintendo could be, yet still so beloved. Am I the only one just amazed by that?
No. I get it, I think, because it's one of those whole childhood nostalgia things. I will say that Nintendo still makes interesting games.
Yeah. Well, the Jimquisition actually ties really well into this, talking about how the first-party titles are system sellers, so they could be loss leaders. They throw a lot more money into the game that any third-party developer can't.
Yeah, and when you say Jimquisition, you mean this week's Jimquisition. Yeah. And, Nintendo has always had its own unique property line that it's never shared. So if you want Nintendo games, Mario, Zelda, Metroid, etc., with their few others, can't get it anywhere else. Have to get it on Nintendo. And those games have historically been good. I haven't played the Switch version of anything.
Or unless you're on the
Switch,
CDI.
But I had a Wii and I had a Wii U, or I have a Wii U, and the Nintendo games I've played on those platforms are really good, interesting games. And I, assume, especially after how many awards the most recent Mario game, Super Mario Odyssey, and the most recent Zelda game won.
Yeah.
Last year, basically sweeping one of those two games, won just about everyone's Game of the Year category.
Except ours.
Except ours, because we're PC people, PC Master Race.
Yep.
But I mean, honestly,
we should clarify this a bit, though. Once you're done on Nintendo, to really highlight what this is, because there is a little bit of devil's advocate here, because PlayStation Plus also has the online backup behind a paywall. But the important difference between this is that you're able to do an offline backup to USB.
Xbox Live has that too,
which is free.
Although I don't know if theirs is. It's free.
It's listed here.
Okay.
PlayStation 1, the PlayStation Plus is the only one that doesn't have it as a free option between the two. That's why I was kind of playing devil's advocate here. But the thing is that the Nintendo Switch, you cannot do an offline backup. You have to pay to back up your save. There's no way to get it off the Switch yet. Because, there is always third-party stuff, especially since the Nintendo Switch has been cracked. People found actually a hardware glitch that they were calling unpatchable. That's supposedly doing a lot of interesting things. So maybe there'll be a way around this eventually. But if anything happens to your Switch, your save files are gone, which is just unfathomably stupid for a portable console.
Yeah. Well, the last couple of versions of the Wii and the Wii U, actually, I don't know about the Wii, but on the Wii U, you can't save files anywhere except the console either.
Yeah, but it says that,
but at
least according to this, you could get them off the Wii U with USB.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know you could do that.
So, unless they're wrong in this, which is possible. I mean, I'm just going by one, one very small substatement here, but at the same time, I would imagine he would have been called out pretty quickly on that. So, the fact that they're tying it behind a paywall, granted, it's a lot less of a paywall than other online services, but the fact that it even exists is just mind-bogglingly anti-consumer to me. Especially if you're not interested in online play. You're not interested in going online with, Super Smash Brothers or playing Mario Kart or, doing all the things. Especially with how utterly stupid they have their online chat. Oh.
Yeah, because they still have to use the phone app.
Yeah, and there's something that just amazes me that they're talking about making it simpler so you don't have to carry around so many wires, but you're having to use your phone and Bluetooth, and assuming that you could even use Bluetooth with it. And it's just a phone battery drainer, because at least in the beginning, if your phone went, turned off the screen, it shut down the app.
Yeah, I don't know if they've changed that or not.
I sure hope they did.
I hope they did too.
Nintendo, what the fuck? I mean, you don't have to copy everyone exactly, but online functionality has been figured out for quite a while.
Yeah, we know how this works. But I mean, Nintendo has always been many years.
Nintendo's always been
5 to 10 years behind the curve in that respect. And Nintendo has, and probably, still does, honestly. The Switch, I feel like, is a pretty big innovation in terms of just like, here's a full powered home console that you can take like a handheld console. Like, that's maybe not the most creative of ideas, but nobody's done it before in the console space. But then they have like examples of doing that innovation that are the ridiculous N64 controller, like
the trident of pain.
Yeah, on the sort of standard, or on the industry standard, Nintendo's like 5 to 10 years behind the curve, but they take chances like nobody else with weird ideas, and sometimes
they
it pays
tried
off,
virtual
and sometimes
reality back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Granted, it was a red and black headache machine, but they tried it when the idea of virtual reality for the first time was really considered a possibility. Granted, looking back at it now, there was nowhere near the computing power for anything close to what we would want. But yeah, Nintendo took the chance. They gambled and lost, but they took it.
Yeah.
Nintendo then gambled on CDs not being as impactful and still stuck with cartridges. And the Nintendo 64 did have its advantages over the PlayStation. Load times were non-existent, but it also made things more expensive.
Yeah.
And they also kind of created the PlayStation inadvertently.
Yeah, I think every time we talk about Nintendo, you mention that.
Well, it's just fascinating, that fascinating history, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not every time. We're directly comparing the PlayStation and the Nintendo 64 right now.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about Nintendo many times since we did that, so. But other things on this online play, they're doing some sort of pseudo virtual console, but there's been some rumors going around that the full virtual console experience won't be on the Switch, which just seems weird. And that's really
but at time of recording, that's not confirmed or denied. Maybe by Friday, we'll know for sure.
Yeah, which individual for a year is $20 though, which is a hell of a lot better than what the other consoles do. But the fact that it's a payment thing in general just seems weird to me. But then again, PC Master Race.
PC Master Race. Oh yeah, that's us.
But that's what happens when you have walled gardens. You're able to dictate it. And Nintendo saw that they were. I hate to use this phrase, but it's probably what it was. Leaving money on the table by charging people for the online functionality.
Yep.
And they're definitely wanting people that to have more than one in the family, because they have a family membership of $35 a year.
Yeah, which like I mentioned before, it's still cheaper than the others.
If you have two Switches, in the household, that's instantly cheaper.
Yeah, because the Xbox Family Plan is $70 a year, and does PlayStation? I can't remember. Does PlayStation even have a family plan?
I have no idea.
Yeah, but I mean, still, it's like from having, free unlimited multiplayer stuff on PC, it's like it's all too expensive.
Yeah, well, only time we really see pay to get online, it's for MMOs, and that's really died off. World of Warcraft is the only major one that's left, isn't it?
Eve still has a pay.
No.
I was
about to say,
Eve went to free to play last year.
Eve went
with the premium model.
So, World of Warcraft and World of Warcraft.
I think so. Yeah.
But I love this one. How can I tell if a game requires the Nintendo Switch Online membership for online play? We will share this information on this. We'll share information on this topic at a later date. In other words, we have no fucking idea.
Yep.
Yeah. Weren't they supposed to release the online functionality last year?
They were supposed to, and then it got delayed, and then they had their current free whatever with the app, and they have changed the release date a couple of times, but now they're saying it's coming out this year for sure.
Yeah, I'm just quickly scrolling through this to see if there was anything else interesting, but how do I set up and use Save Data Cloud Backup? More details will be released soon. In other words, I hope the hackers do it, right?
Yeah.
It's just still mind-blowing that they don't allow you to pull save data off that console. Because for a portable console, that seems to be, the first thing I would think of is back up the save data. Well, if it's non-removable memory, which there was the interesting bit on the Ben Heck show where he tore down the Nintendo Switch and showed that it's essentially just a module that could easily be swapped out. So I wonder if you broke the Switch, could you swap out that memory module and it would work? I've never seen anyone try that.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I mean, granted, it'd be a last ditch effort, but should be possible.
Possible, but effort.
Hey, if you've already broken it, you may as well try to break another one.
Yeah.
Hey, the FTC, FTC said that those warranty labels, break the sticker and warranties were just bullshit. So, how would they know?
Indeed. How would they know? How does anybody know anything, Rage? How do we know?
Obviously not by listening to us. So looking at the time, do we want to put the other one back in?
What recording time we're at? We're at 2:47.
2:30.
No, I'm
2:38.
2:38. Well, we've still got to go through archive.org.
Okay, let's see how much nostalgia wanking we do. So archive.org has been doing a hosting of old Flash games, and there are now over 1,000 Flash games on there. Which
Archive.org is amazing.
Yeah.
We gave them money once, and I'm going to give them more money multiple times because they're amazing.
Yeah, we were talking about the archiving of video games, and this is it for things that are going away just in functionality. Modern browsers are slowly going away from Flash and Shockwave, which is what powered a lot of gaming in the early 2000s. And a lot of nostalgia around those games, at least for me, and I think you as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been trying to rack my brain to think of some of the old Flash games I used to play, and I just can't remember any of them.
Well, there were time wasters before we had mobile phones, essentially.
Yeah.
It's not to say that they don't deserve to be saved, of course. But the tower defense genre, it wasn't born there. It was born in Warcraft 3, I believe. But it really flourished in a lot of these Flash games. Gem Defense, which eventually saw a release on Steam after several iterations, started in Flash. There's been Tower Defense, there's been real-time strategy, RPGs. I mean, there's all sorts of different genres that didn't see their birth, but saw a lot more depth and creativity thrown at them in Flash games. Of course, you had the porn games as well, but still.
Yeah, those were the best Flash games.
Yeah, until the teacher caught you with the boobies.
Usually those were blocked. Yeah, those were usually blocked on the school network, though. But yeah, I played the first place I played a tower defense game was as a Flash game. The first place I played, I'm trying to think if there's any other games I played or any other genres I played for the first time as a Flash game. I don't think so.
I think some of the oddball RPGs definitely count. I guess technically you could almost call some of the RPGs I played almost visual novels.
Yeah, I definitely played. That would have been the first place that I played something like a visual novel. If you don't, whether or not you categorize that as one or not, I think I would honestly. Like I used to seek out those types of games. Just because
not even really knowing what it was.
Yeah.
So this is the inverse of what we were talking about before, where the games are being saved. The save is getting uploaded, and I'm running out of analogies. This is more just a public service announcement as well. Our second for the show, it seems.
Yeah, kind of makes me want to go play Flash games. Like head over to Newgrounds and play some of the sketchy Flash games before you just go play the porn ones. Yeah, Congregate.
Congregate is still active, even though it's definitely seen less traffic and obviously less functionality.
Let's see. Let me go down here to where the link is. Show all files.
Yeah, it still is just groups. Let's see, show all files. And they're torrents. But they're not very big. And, that's the way they're... hey, a legitimate reason to have a torrent downloader. It's not just...
So is that 6 gigabytes? 6.0 G? View contents. Ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot of files.
Yeah, that's a lot of different games. And the thing is, if you want to spend a weekend just going through different things, I just randomly scroll down. Run, Jesus, run.
Oh, that's amazing. That has episode title potential.
Ultimate Crab Battle. Also, show potential. The Yeti Sports series. I remember those. Remember Yeti Sports?
No.
I have to be honest.
I do not.
At least at my school, the old candy stand site that was just lifesavers and that sort was the really popular Flash site for quite a while. That and also Jeopardy for some reason. Because there used to be an official online Jeopardy game. Gateway, just some of these do look familiar. Is that a Watchmen game? It is.
I would not be surprised. I mean, there's a Flash game for everything.
Well, I'm sure that there's a Flash game making Flash games.
Probably.
But this is set up so that you don't even need Flash on your computer and it plays on offline mode. So, 6 gigs and you have a lot of nostalgia and maybe even a couple good games.
Yeah. There were good Flash games.
Yeah.
There was a lot of shit. A lot of first project games too, which is fine. Like, everybody starts somewhere.
Wow,
and Flash games are one of the...
Speaking of quality, your call quality just took a dump. Okay, it sounds like it's better now.
I was going to say, Skype's showing that I have maximum call quality.
It just really, really went robotic there for a while.
Who knows? Fuck Skype. Am I right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna download this and
goof around,
poke around on some of them a little bit. I don't know if anything will be worthy of mentioning on the next episode, but I'm definitely gonna play some of these. See if I can just find some that I recognize. Because I mean, I'm not really recognizing any of the names. I haven't played a Flash game in, God, 10, 12 years.
Please don't say elementary school.
No, it was high school. Which would have been 10-ish years ago.
Pokemon Towering Legends. I wonder if Nintendo's going to get pissed because I'm sure there's a lot of Pokemon. Pokemon 10 matches. Pokemon Collapse. Pokemon Tower Defense. A couple of those are just files for it. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Breakdown Blast.
Well, that sounds fun.
Mario Brothers Crossover. Oh, I remember Mario Brothers Crossover. Oh, that's awesome. Did you ever see that?
Nope, not that I remember.
Okay. Here's your project if you download this file. If this is what I'm thinking of, Mario Brothers Crossover is the original Super Mario Brothers, alright? But...
Alright.
It's a crossover game. So, you have the option of bringing in players or characters from other games, like Samus in Mario Brothers, with all her abilities. the Contra guys with all of their abilities. So instead of jumping on things, they have to shoot things. I think Link was in it, and he had to, stab things with a sword. It was a really, really interesting game. If this is what I'm thinking it is. I mean, granted, obviously some were a lot better than others. I think Kirby was in it as well.
Canonically, Samus is in the same universe as Mario. There was one of the Mario games, where that Samus, her ship has crashed in the Mushroom Kingdom, and she's injured, and she's resting in a bed in Peach's castle.
Oh my. I think I know where this is going.
It was either Super Mario RPG or
yeah,
one of the
it
Paper
is.
Marios.
Okay, I found it. Or I don't have Flash running right now, but Super Mario Crossover packs all your favorite Nintendo characters and personalities into one neat Flash game. The world settings are the original Super Mario Brothers, but for Nintendo. But instead of only playing Mario and Luigi, now you can choose between Mario, Link, Bill from Contra, Simon from Castlevania, Samus from Metroid, or Mega Man. Yes, Mega Man.
Nice.
Which is, shows some of the creativity that was out there. Granted, nowadays that would just be, asset flip, but Well, I shouldn't say that because, there people that put that much creativity into the game would still put that amount of creativity and effort into Mario games, but it just gets lost a lot easier now. And also, you can't really do something like this because Nintendo frowns upon making money on their IPs, even if it does mean free advertising for them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're done here.
Because Nintendo is weird and dumb sometimes. Anyways, yeah. So, moving on then, let's hit up the community corner. Aside from Kyle sending us that audio file, which I'm going to use in the opening of the show, so obviously you will have heard it by now. You said we had a few tweets.
We had a pair from Ghost Shark. Finally catching up on podcast, hitting the Game Club episode. This is for 80 days. I found the randomness of the goods to buy and sell as guide points for the journey. 15 plus playthroughs. I think I only had to hit the bank once. But the game is fun. A great gem. Seen the Arctic, walking cities, automations, hydrofoils, solved murders, raised rebellions, found love, got stranded in Southeast Asia, but nothing as exciting as an epic human game. Nothing as exciting as the epic game of Hergen Jurgen. Smiley face.
Nice.
And that's from Ghost Shark, and that's all the community corner this week. So if you was to, well, of course, Kyle's sobering up and sending us the file. He never commented to me about us picking on him. Did he comment to you?
Yes.
What did he say?
Did he send me a DM? Or was it a tweet? Let me go check. Come on, Twitter.
Come on, Twitter. Any day now.
No, it was not a DM. Maybe he sent it to me on Discord.
I just thought it was hilarious. I got drunk and I had this great idea. Great, let's hear it.
Nope, not on Discord.
Well,
I swear he sent something to me somewhere about it, because he said something about, like, you guys are total dicks, but I haven't laughed that hard in a while.
Well, hey, at least we made him laugh, right?
Indeed.
For once.
Maybe he text. Yeah, I don't see it. I swear he said something to me about it, but I don't see it anywhere. Oh well, doesn't matter. Yeah, that was what it said. Something like, you guys are total dicks, but I haven't laughed that hard in a while, so good job. I'm actually going to send you the file this time.
Hey, it wouldn't have been us if we didn't pick on them, right?
Absolutely.
And if you was to
We
have
pick
us
on the ones we love.
if you was to have us slightly pick on you, we promise we'll be nicer. Especially because we have the history of Kyle. You can send us an email, vglpodcast@gmail.com, or just tweet us, VGL on the Twitter. I mean, that's where you tweet people, the Twitter. So,
Indeed.
music time?
Indeed.
Doobly-doo.
Doobly-doo for Discovery Q. And I closed my Steam tab, apparently.
Yeah.
So let's open that back up and hit view. Oh, Monster Prom.
I got
Yes.
review code for that, but I never played it.
Oh, sad
Yeah,
day.
that's from Jesse Cox.
Yep. It's a dating sim where you're encouraged to be the worst person possible.
Well, don't forget to list it. I got an interesting
Yep.
one immediately as well. Demon's Rise, Lord of Chaos, turn-based tactical RPG where players command powerful bands of warriors. Interesting looking. It's very, 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 very cheap though. So that could be either a good thing or a bad thing, really depending. Looks like it's been on ongoing development though. It has patch 1.4 recently released. I mean, it doesn't look as cheap as I would have expected. But yeah, it's one of those things that screenshots may not be able to give that all the information that you need. Reviews are saying that there's only a few strange characters to choose for your team, though. No sense of progression, though. You start with a full 6 and only receive 1 item per map. So, yeah, it's definitely on the cheaper side of things.
Wait a second. So I got Demon's Rise, War for the Deep.
So, which one is which?
I don't know. Okay, Lords of Chaos says it released on April 24th, 2018, and War for the Deep says it released on April 30th, 2018.
So, are we just seeing people dumping their stuff, their backlog?
Maybe. War for the Deep looks better, I think. Although, honestly, it's hard to tell. I wonder if it's like...
A sequel?
They're thinking like episodic or sequel or something, but they've dropped it as 2 separate games?
Maybe. Well, while you try to figure that one out, are you putting it on your list?
Oh, okay. So it's the same game, but one game you play the good guys.
Oh, okay.
And then the other one you're the bad guys.
Interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about it being separate games, but it's also very cheap, so.
Yeah, so Lords of Chaos is the good guys, and this one, War for the Deep, is the bad guys. Odd.
Yeah. So I got the good guys and you got the bad guys.
Is that right? Is that how we wind up being split?
I think so. That's how our saviors got split at the end. It wasn't that you fell in love with my character. I got the good guys, you got the bad guys, and we ended up fighting.
I mean, I can live with the bad guys. I can live with that. I just want to make sure that we're split the correct way.
Yeah, but who would have guessed that I would have not been the evil one?
Ooh.
But I got Space Hulk Ascension, which is the sequel to well, I shouldn't say the original Space Hulk, but the most recent Space Hulk game on Steam, which is Warhammer 40k Space Marines turn-based strategy. It's an interesting game. It's more of stomping down hallways and being badass, which is kind of the whole point of being a Space Marine, honestly. I know that the first Space Hulk had some severe problems. I'm not sure how that has been addressed here. It looks like it's still a very hard to play game and a bit clunky based on some reviews, but that's once again Space Marines or Warhammer 40k.
Yeah,
Oh, I saw
So
that one before.
I got Mech's Profit, the Mech Tycoon Simulator. The graphics for this game look real bad, like real early.
Yeah, it looks like Alpha
premise,
Spore.
Yeah, but the premise is one that I like and one to watch. It says you are a mech factory owner who has to produce profitable mechs to sell on the open market. It looks like this is more industrial mechs as opposed to like combat mech warrior type
consumer
stuff.
grade.
But I really like the idea of this, and as long as the gameplay is good and the system's not too clunky, because this looks like, they took the whole KSP idea of putting a mech together and just did that. So hopefully it's easy and intuitive and works. I'd love to get review code for this. It's not that expensive though. $13.49 right now. Oh, that's so close to my impulse buy range.
Well,
I think I'll do a little bit of research into
this. The Steam Summer
later.
Sale is coming up.
That's true. Couple months, if that.
Well, what was it? June 23rd?
That was the rumor, right? Which is a month and a half.
Yeah, and it had the whole, do not share on the Steam community. But I got an interesting one. Warring States, a tactics turn-based battle strategy game set during the Warring States period of ancient China. Graphically, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's a tactics game, so the expectations are a bit lower. Warring States era of China is a little bit of an unusual setting. Usually, if it's a Warring States period, it's Japan and not China, right?
Yeah.
So, just being Chinese history is an interesting take on things.
Well, Dynasty Warriors, they take that to a fanciful end, but the base history is there.
It's a little bit more expensive than I would have expected. It's $19, which is also a little odd number. 15 single-player story missions, each on a unique map. 12 multiplayer battle maps. 2 to 4 player local and online matchmaker. I mean, it's not that bad. It looks like it's a little expensive for what it is, but something to keep an eye on, perhaps, if you're interested in that era.
Yep. Alright, here's one that's an avoid, not a get. War Robots. This is a mobile game that is apparently making the hop to PC. It's a super simplified mech combat game with very simple customization, very simple, unintuitive, shitty controls. I don't know how they're going to transition it to PC, but just like glancing over the reviews, people are saying like, if you played this on mobile, you have played it. They didn't do really anything to make it, optimize it, or change it for PC at all. So if you want to play this, it's an okay mobile game, but no way would this be a good PC game. If you want a good PC mech game for free, play MechWarrior Online. Not interested.
Hello.
Right.
Retro title. So, huge grain of salt on any possibility of running this. But Jagged Alliance 2 Wildfire. This is actually a release 2004, so possible to run on modern systems. It's but who knows? It's a little tough to figure out. Just in the few seconds I've seen this, but old school Jagged Alliance, tactical combat. It looks like I'm on a tactics run this week, huh?
I thought I had one of the Jagged Alliance games on Steam. Maybe I don't.
But tactical combat and mercenary, or not really mercenary, but rebellion simulator, I think, if memory serves. I mean, definitely worth checking out if you're interested in it. But now I'm getting the shit.
Yeah, I'm done with my queue. I just
Yeah,
finished.
I'm wrapping up mine. Oh dear God, that looks terrible.
I did pretty good. It's pretty good. 4, 3 of them being good, and 1 of them being an avoid.
Huh. That looks interesting. Sorry, quickly looking at this. This is not even released. It doesn't even have a release date on it. But I'll add it because it may slightly excite you. I mean, it's
Okay.
mecha, not mech. But Dual Gear. Japanese mecha shooter. Looks like some severe customization on it.
Huh.
Yeah, like I said, it looks interesting, doesn't it? But
Tactical action,
with
turn-based.
the UI, I'm thinking this may be in a mobile game at some point.
This reminds me of the older Front Mission games.
This may be turn-based. It's a little hard to tell. Yeah, turn-based tactics. Yeah. Sorry, the tags didn't show it at first. I had to click on more tags.
Dual Gear coming soon. All right, I'm interested.
Yeah, I'm just doing a quick search to see if that was on mobile. Because the UI looks so mobile-esque, doesn't it?
Kind of, but I've seen some games that have used that before. That like style without being mobile games. It's usually like visual novels that have some interactive elements. Do stuff like that.
Yeah, but it has sections that it looks like you should swipe to go through the different options. That's why I was thinking mobile. Unreal Engine, Steam, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. So definitely not mobile. And looks like, closed alpha and second campaign was in 2016, so not sure what is going on there. But I should be able to go to the Indiegogo and get an idea of the price, but the price on the Indiegogo, which is still active by the way, is $20, so it's in the budget range for the digital copy on Steam. So yeah, that is actually interesting. It's like they're shooting for pretty low requirements as well. Or system requirements, I should say. Definitely something to check out once you... I know I'm going to say heresy here. Get tired of BattleTech.
It'll happen eventually.
And you want something more Japanese. Because this is mecha, not mech.
Yeah, I gotta get through the story again after using those mods that makes it the universe more varied.
Yeah, more interesting.
Gotta get my little trash can.
But definitely something to check out. Probably at end of the year or next year. Estimated release date is still just this year, so who knows if he'll even make it. But yeah, definitely something interesting to into my queue. It actually had War Robot show up in my queue as well, but because I marked it as not interested whenever your link came up, it skipped it on mine. So that is it for the Discovery queue.
Nice. Well, that means we move on to the portion of the podcast where I go first and tell you about my things. I got my YouTube channel sorted out last week. Moving forward this week, it's just going to be regular Divinity episodes and the podcast. I don't have anything planned. I've had a lot of stuff going on that has prevented me from even attempting to record. And then in the free time that I have had this past week, I just want to play BattleTech.
Oh,
wow. If you want to see what's going on my channel, though, you can head over to Gaming Psychologist on YouTube. I got a couple of new subs this week, so thanks if you're listening to the podcast on there, or anywhere, really. If you want to follow me on Twitter, where you can see all the things I tweet about, political, not political, video game related. I don't know if I've posted what I've tweeted about the last few days. Random things. If you want to see those, you can follow me on Twitter at JMA4707, If you want to see streams on Twitch or premieres of content using the Twitch premiere system, which I quite like, you can do so over at twitch.tv/jarthur4707. If you want to be friends with me on Steam, you can send me a friend request at jarthur4707. That's my username on Steam. I've only said this like a million times, but I still mess it up. But that's okay. You can come chat with me. We can talk about all kinds of things. Everyone who's ever sent me a friend request from the podcast has turned out to be a lovely, lovely person.
Except me.
And I like talking to lovely people. Well, I like curmudgeons too.
Oh. Well, if you wish to let them know exactly what episode of the podcast you're coming from, the password for this week is Isthmus. Isthmus. What, no comments?
Nope.
Oh.
It's a good word. Isthmus.
So, for me, things are still pretty much running standard. Divinity will be winding down in the next couple weeks. RimWorld, the ship went down. By the time you've heard this. By the time you heard this, by the time you listen to this, I've had a couple interesting episodes. Let's put it this way. There's a reason why the one I put out today at day recording is called "This is Why I Don't Like Caravans." But yeah, RimWorld is always good for some fun. And that may be why I didn't like Judgment, was that it feels very static compared to something like RimWorld. Even though they're technically in the same genre. And SteamWorld Dig, slowly going through it. It is getting a lot faster now that I've gotten the jetpack. So I'm hoping to probably finish it around the time by the time Divinity finishes. So we'll have 2 new series going on at the same time. Excitement. And who knows, maybe even a couple of views. And dare I say, a subscriber or 2?
Oh yeah, subscribers.
But if you was to help join that subscriber account, you could do so. Gaming with Caffeine Rage on the YouTubes, where I have my 3 Let's Play series, the Sunday Sampler, which has some sometimes interesting things, or I just start bashing things and be very, very, very disappointed in all of gaming. Or just post a podcast, VGL podcast at gmail.com if you wish to email us for the podcast, or tweet us once again, VGL podcast. Or if you just wish to see my Twitter, Gaming with CR. I kind of mixed the 2 this time.
That's alright. I mess up, you mess up, it all works out.
Yeah, but my mess up kind of flowed kind of naturally into one another. It was more just, watching a waiter with a bunch of plates and he trips and he's running full speed trying to get back under him and then smashes right into the wall. And if you want to pay for all the plates, you do so at patreon.com/VGLpodcast, which helped pay for our Podbean account, VGLpodcast.podbean.com, which hosts the RSS feed and the show notes, so you can skip all the spoilers that we talked about this time around. Or you can just see them on your show notes in your iTunes app, on Google Play, whatever app you're using there, Stitcher, wherever Jared shoved us, which I'm sure is not dirty in the slightest. And speaking of not dirty in the slightest, our intro and outro music is On the Ground by Kevin McLeod, and our Discovery Key music is Doobly Doo by the same artist. You can find his work at incompetech.com, and
as always, as his lovely music starts to roll across my voice. Bye-bye now.
See you next time.
Bye.
Hey, it looks like that dipshit in my primary election lost. My faith in humanity has gone back up a slight tick. Bye-bye.
Bye.